Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. Actually, I'll be your friendly lore keeper this evening because today we are continuing on with Chapter 2 of our adventure playing Cubicle 7's first edition, the One Ring role-playing game. At the time of recording, we are on the cusp of receiving a second edition of this game, but we're playing the first edition still. And with me tonight are the stars of the, what are we calling this one again? It's Old Bones and Skin? Yes, Old Bones and Skin. This is an adventure out of the Bree sourcebook. So if you intend to play this adventure, the first adventure in here, this session will contain spoilers for that, as did the first one, I suppose, retroactively. But with me today are the stars of Old Bones and Skin. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up, I've got Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I am playing Giles, a man of Bree, and since we're playing in Bree, that works out well. And looking forward to seeing where this leads us.
Excellent. Next up is Arlen.
Hi, I'm Arlen, and I'm playing Helidir, who's a Mirkwood elf who's been traveling and has sort of gotten himself roped into events going on in Bree.
Nice. And last but not least is James.
Hey, I'm James, and I am Bandabras Took, a young hobbit who's just come of age. He's a proud descendant of the legendary hero Bullroarer Took, and he's heading out into the world to see adventure.
Excellent.
Things he's heard of.
Nice. Okay. And last session, guys, we had quite a bit of events happen, and we started our session at the Prancing Pony. You guys had met, and I think we had said that you guys had met and you had talked about traveling together, but then things kind of went sideways at the old Prancing Pony. What do you guys remember from last session?
Scuttlebutt.
There's a lot of scuttlebutt.
There's a lot of scuttlebutt. Older gentleman had passed away. The
Yes.
name I'm gonna have to work on.
One of them's Timaeus and one of them's Tomas, and I think Timaeus is the one who died, and
Timaeus.
Tomas is the nephew.
That's right, yeah.
And the nephew was under fire, at least in the Prancing Pony, for his behavior surrounding his uncle's demise.
Yes. So it's Timeas Heatherton, and Timeas Heatherton is the nephew, and Tomas didn't even make it to his favored uncle's funeral.
Right.
So that was the scuttlebutt around town, and then you guys heard from the gossiping inhabitants of the Prancing Pony. You heard a lot of unusual rumors about old late Timaeus. Do you remember what those rumors were?
So Timaeus seemed to have a stash somewhere of ill-gotten coin. He was, whenever his family he was short, he would disappear off for a couple of days and reappear suddenly with his pockets full.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was Timaeus was spotted at his late uncle's house almost at the same time as the funeral, something like that. Like he'd gone there instead of the funeral, causing another level of discord among the loose lips of the Prancing Pony.
Yeah. Anything else you guys remember?
Timaeus, so the older one, part of the whole adventuring thing is that he at one point got rescued by the Rangers. So he and it's unclear if he continued to have contact with him, although that seems like the sort of thing that would, be interesting.
Do you remember any strange visitors or travelers that were in the Prancing Pony as well?
The dwarf, the dark dwarf, or at least the quiet dwarf, at the bar that was eyeballing appeared to be eyeballing everyone, and then took to. And then I guess Giles caught his eye. Whether that had anything to do with the dwarf taking to the second story, but then returning to the balcony, if you will, or the top of the stairs at least, when Timaeus returned to the bar.
Tomas
Returned to the bar.
I was going to put in the chat here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. All right, so Tomas had returned, and I believe it was either Giles or Brandabas. I think it was Giles, wasn't it, who sort of calmed him down?
Well, Giles attempted to, and then
good intentions.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes, it did not go as intended. But then didn't Brandabas step in? Or was it Haladier? I thought Haladier was kind of hanging out the back when he heard
Haladier was hanging out at the back, just sort of watching everything.
Right. And you heard him talk about, or he came in a bit of a panic. It wasn't even that he was just showing up in the Prancing Pony. He showed up quite agitated, right?
He had seen the ghost.
That's right.
He needed a fine ale to calm himself down.
He did.
And that it seemed as if that last evening or last session was full of ghost stories, because there was some spectral figure that was seen at the old Timaeus' house as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm trying. Let's see. What were the details? He definitely.
I think when Brandabras was sharing a drink with those two guys, when he was the ones that he had been, what do you call it? He had been. Listening in. Oh, thanks, John. John just checked in and said, I love to watch, but I'm just about to run the same scenario. Okay, have fun, John.
Nice.
So, and that guy had mentioned something. Remember lurking outside of old Timaeus' house? Do you remember that, Brandabras?
Yeah, there was something stinky, wasn't it?
It was some strange lights, I believe. Let's see here.
Strange lights.
Let me see here. It was... Where were the rumors here? What he had heard... Oh, yeah! It was, he had said that he thought he'd been murdered. And that the murderer might not have been human. Because he saw strange lights. Maybe even the unquiet spirits outside his home. That could just be wagging tongues, but it appears that with Tomas coming in and in such a panic that he may not be the only one seeing ghosts. So where we left things, guys, was, I believe, with the revelation of what Tomas had seen. Oh, did we lose... James, you still in the hangout?
Still here. Yeah, I'm still in hangout.
Oh, okay, cool. You're just refreshing. Roll 20. So where we left off was with Haladier kind of hanging out at the back, with Giles on the side, having been chastised by the townsfolk. Always sticking your nose, Giles! And Brandabras having made a bit of a rapport with this young man. And now Tomas is not a child. He is probably in his very late teens or early 20s. I actually forgot to load the illustration. I did actually pull the illustration up, but that's what he looks like. Or at least that's the illo provided in the book.
He looks almost Hobbit-like, he does.
He looks like...
He looks almost Hobbit-like.
He does.
A little bit. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So, guys, what... let's pick up from that scene. So he's told you about this, Haladier. You've been sort of listening in. Now, one thing I did screw up last time, guys, or I not screwed up necessarily, but didn't give you the opportunity, is you can get auto successes with using your traits, but you can still choose to roll if you want to try and get that advantage, like get the advancement ticks on your thing. So, yeah, so I was sort of...
It seems like if you got like a great success or an extraordinary success, that you might get a better result than just using the trait.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
the other trade-off, is that you're only getting the base level success, and if you need a great success or extraordinary success, then you would need to roll for that. So we'll.
So that decision would be based on like how much skill you have in it, obviously, or something. So if you have three success dice, you might go ahead and roll.
What I'll try and do is I'll try and give you guys a more of an opportunity to roll before I just feed you information from your traits. And let's quickly refresh our stalwart DM's memory with what your traits are. I'm not going to copy them down, but if you could just quickly describe for us what your traits are, and those are your specialities and your what's the other thing?
Distinctive features.
Distinctive features. Thank you. What are Goyle's distinctive features and specialities?
Giles is appraising, smoking, and shadow lore.
Nice. Okay.
Distinctive features are clever and reckless.
Love it. Okay. What about Heladir?
Heladir has elven lore, mirkwood lore, and shadow lore, as well as being fair-spoken and proud.
Nice. Okay. And how about Brandobras?
I'm fond of smoking and storytelling and folklore, and fitting of a took, I'm adventurous and bold.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. So then, guys, this guy is sort of looking down at you, Brandobras, sitting in his chair. He's still quite shaken. We're still in the interaction scene, and you guys haven't accrued any failures yet. So, just as a refresher, the way that the interaction scenes or the encounters work is that you're making this is your opportunity to make dice rolls to try and like convince the people you're interacting with to do something, to try and get information, to try and direct them towards something. So what do you think? One way to think of it is to decide what dice rolls we need to make, decide what outcome you want. What is it that you're trying to work towards? Is it to get more information? Is it trying whatever your goal is, figure what that is, and then we'll figure out what the role is. And we don't need to do this. There's no initiative or anything here. So in the encounters, what you're supposed to do is do like this introduction thing. But this is not one of those. I don't see that as necessary here. So what do we think happens next?
Well, that's actually so to talk a little bit about plans going forward for the second edition. They've described how in their encounter system is only designed for big, like meeting with Elrond, and that scenes like this are supposed to be role played out normally rather than have this kind of structure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm even running it with a fairly loose structure. And one of the things,
but that they're aware that it's a little weird to have to introduce yourself to just a guy in Bree.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I get the mechanical thing of trying to trigger the roll to get some extra dice to be able to use throughout the thing, but. Yeah, I agree. It's weird that I was rereading the adventure today, and there's elements of it where I feel like this may have been a first step towards second edition, because there's things about the way they're structuring it that they're like, yeah, don't worry about this part of the thing in this adventure. So like you won't be making like outset rolls or travel rolls or whatever. But anyway, okay, so in this scene, Brandobras, you do seem to have this kid seems to have warmed to you, or at least has told you about this grey ghost that he saw. Let's refresh our memories of what he saw. A ghost in the graveyard. It looked right at me. I was so scared. I nearly fainted. And the next thing I knew, I was running in the inn here.
Giles, sort of as an aside to Brandobras, says, since he's the one kind of that seems to have the channel.
Yep.
Says, did this happen just now?
Yes, it happened just now, Goyles, says Thomas. I just got back. What do you think you think I'd run in like this if this had happened last week?
Then it sounds like we should go and investigate. We can't be having ghosts around the town.
No.
Around the village.
The ghost is looking for bones. So this kid's about to sort of like get back into sort of the, full-on panic mode. So maybe you might want to try and calm him down if he's not, to get him back under. So you know, I can foresee things like courtesy, or I could see things like awe being, you know, to sort of check him or to sort of shake him out of his panic. And I'm open to pitches from you guys for any other skill that you might think might be an appropriate way to sort of get him back focused on, you know, what's happened.
Giles is courteous, but I know that Bandabras had success before. Whatever, Bandabras, are you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm courteous. It's sort of my thing, but I'm
Okay.
thinking here maybe I should be inspiring him.
Yeah,
Or I was going to
think
say,
Mhm.
it is
think I should be,
in
yeah.
in Tolkien's works. It's rarely a bad idea to have a little bit of song to kind of reset the mood.
Yeah.
And that might be something that we could do, or that even I could do from afar to sort of play a little bit of something and try to kind of get everyone to calm down a little bit
Nice.
with a bit of
Yeah.
elf song.
That old
I
guy
will
will be
suggest
happy again.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Did
Now,
I tell
now,
you
Mr.
about the
Heatherton.
time I heard an elf sing? Okay.
So now, Mr. Heatherton, you calm yourself, but we should do something about this. But maybe this Master Heladir, I've heard him do an inspiring song. Maybe you can bring us some good heart and strength to deal with this.
Okay. So, Heladir, would you kindly, why don't you give us a song check at, I'll set it moderate, so 14.
That is an 11. So I'm going to spend a point of hope to get it a success.
Is song favored for you?
Song is not favored, but that's plus 5 points to 16.
Okay. All right. So you, what do we see in fiction? Like, what does Heladir do to sort of?
So Heladir pulls out. He's got a little sort of a traveling harp, and he plays it a few times, and he sings a little bit of one of these kind of, you know, classic sort of, you know, slightly melancholy but very, you know, peaceful elf songs that you know, and the whole room kind of quiets down to listen and is very patient.
Oh, we lose. We may,
Man, right in the middle of his song too.
yeah.
Am I gone?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Am I okay? I'm back.
This is like having a what do you call it, CD player in your car, hitting bumps.
Right. What song was it? No, don't go yet. What song was it?
Am I correct in thinking that you were singing in Sindarin as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so it's this beautiful song that I don't know if anyone else in the tavern understands the words of it, but the beauty of your performance certainly communicates the meaning. What is the meaning that you're trying to convey with this?
Well, it's a song about kind of long life. It's one of those elf songs that's, you know, like I said, it's kind of melancholy, but it's very peaceful and contemplative.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to get everybody to sort of stop and think for a moment.
Okay. So it does. It was just a success, not a great success. So I think what I'll say is that it sort of keeps the kid calm, but it does not settle him permanently. It is a temporary measure that has got him focused again. What happens next, guys?
I intimate to, so I think I'm standing towards the front with Bandabras, who's even closer, perhaps, to Tomas, and I intimate to Bandabras, should we take him with us? Do you think he's up to it?
I think it would be very helpful. Otherwise, we don't know our way. Oh, so's you, Master Rushlight. You know your way around the village, but I'm rather new here.
I
So
could
maybe,
get us to the graveyard, but I don't know where he spotted it, of course.
So, guys,
Whatever it was he saw.
Master Heatherton, would you be so gracious as to accompany us?
he
We desperately need your help.
Okay, why don't you give me a courtesy roll, please? And we'll set that as a TN of 14 as well. Or persuade. Yeah, actually, it's probably more persuade than it is courtesy. Okay. Well, you roll. Oh, Eye of Sauron and a 6.
You know, it's a dark.
I'm not
seven.
convinced that went well.
So for those listening at home, rules is written, and Eye of Sauron on your skill rolls does not have any negative consequence, but I am if nothing, not a cruel and merciless DM, so I do infer negative consequences from the Eye of Sauron. Especially when there's a failure. All right, so he sort of like stands up, and the chair kind of scrapes back, and the sound of that sort of like breaks the spell that Heladir's song has, has sort of woven over this group. And he says, that thing's still out there. It's huge. It's scrambling in the dirt, looking for something to eat. You don't know what's out there. You don't know how horrible that thing's going to be. It's a ghost. You can't go out there. You can't go out there.
But this time you won't be alone, Tomas.
Does it strike you as odd that he was out there in the first place, guys? Like,
Well, it's
let's
pretty odd. We established, right, that he was looking for his uncle's gold in the.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's.
I kind of presumed that he was going there because of his uncle's grave, but it's a good call. It's night.
Here is what Bree looks like, guys. At least in the Cubicle 7 version here. If you want to get to the graveyard, it's about a 10-minute walk out of the main gate, the number 1. Number 1 on the right side, I guess. You head along. There's a path that leads north from the gate and up towards the hills, and then that's where, for generations, people have been burying their dead. The older graves have graves facing Bree, and then the newer graves have graves that face west towards the Undying Lands.
So towards the school, looking at your Bree map up in.
Let's see here. Actually, I've got. Boom.
Because I see 6 is the Prancing Pony, the big house.
Okay, 6 is the Prancing Pony. Yeah.
Yep.
And then it is out over here, I believe, and then north, like up into these hills here, is where the graveyard is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, so Giles is going to step in close to Tomas.
Okay.
And say, I can appreciate that you are apprehensive to return, but I must ask, why were you there in the first place, my young man?
Okay. So, do you... that could be Persuade. I think it could be Insight, trying to read his reaction. Mm-hmm. It could be Awe, but I'm not sure Giles is necessarily... That's his strongest suit.
Definitely not.
Definitely not, okay.
Yep.
The majesty of the neighbor.
Right. He's more neighborly. I mean, he usually tries
Sure.
to... his kind of personal neighborhood watch program has been more on neighbor, kind of checking in with neighbors more than... he's not overly intimidating.
Sure.
He's, so...
Let's see here. You posted his feats here, or his traits.
I think if anything, he's trying to be clever.
Yeah, I got that.
Because he doesn't want other people to hear, so
Yep.
he's trying to keep this very pointed question between the two of us. Or, probably Bandabros is close enough to hear it, but the rest of the crowd is probably not.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's what I'll give you for clever is, this guy, as you're, no doubt aware from a previous session, like, Bree is it's like a lot of small towns where everyone is in everyone else's business.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he is currently the center of attention and that everybody has been talking about this guy, he probably knows that too. Like, he would know that he's not a stupid kid from what you know of him. He would know that everyone's been talking about him not going to his uncle's funeral, right?
Right.
So if you could get him into a more private, or at the very least, a least public kind of forum where everyone's not circled around him, curious about this ghost that he's talking about, he may be more forthcoming. And I think what happens is when you say that to him, he kind of his eyes kind of snap, to yours, and you notice that he. Let's see here. He has a like a sack that's sort of tucked into his belt, and it's a very long, like a big thing. Like you would know if what he was searching for was his uncle's, Uncle Timaeus's riches. That sack would not hold, like you couldn't put a bunch of coins in there and successfully hold it, but you might be able to put something else in there.
And it looks like it obviously has something in it.
It does not actually.
Oh, it doesn't.
It seems like he was planning to carry something, though. It's not the kind of thing you carry around. It's not a bag or a backpack or something like that. Yeah, it's something that seems to be he had stored it on him.
So I put my hand on Tomas's elbow lightly.
Yep.
And I say, it's noisy in here. Perhaps we could step outside and cover this more thoroughly.
And why don't you give me a persuade check? I'm gonna set the difficulty a little lower. It'll be a 12 because he's gonna be quite happy to get the fuck out of this room. Yep.
Remind me, you make rolls by clicking on what?
On the little like circle thing on the side of your if you hit the dots, it screws up the the assignment of
I knew
stats.
there was a little minefield right there.
Yeah I appreciate you asking before. When I played last time, Arlen, I completely fucked up all of my stats and I'm like, whoops.
Yeah. All right, 12 you said?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see here, persuade. I will spend, I have a 3 in wits.
Let me, here, I'll move us back to the main screen here so you can use your tokens to track your hope.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay.
And let me, because my...
is that what you were intending to do, is to spend?
That is exactly,
yeah.
So
okay.
I'll have a 13 in it after this.
Okay.
My result will be a 13.
13 is good enough. Yep, definitely.
Update.
Okay, so he he gets up. I think it's your blue bar is the one that is your hope.
I think his token is set up wrong because both of them say 27, and I think that's just his endurance twice.
Oh, Giles, hold on. Yeah, that will not be the first time that I've done that. Hold on. Yes, I did. Did we go through this last time too? I think I fucked them up last time as well.
Either that or I just wasn't using the token. I was using my character sheet.
Bush League DM. Jeez. Okay, there we go. All right. Boom.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No.
All right. So, Goyles, you say that, and he kind of looks at you and is like, yes, perhaps some air might do me good. And Brandebras, you're a pretty clever little hobbit, so you can see, there's a maybe like a conspiratorial, like quick, where both you and Giles make eye contact and kind of like, exactly what's going on. Do you do anything, Brandebras, to, because, these busybodies are going to probably want to try and go after, like, to go outside as well, too. There's drunks in here who want to eavesdrop and want to give their 2 cents of what's going on. Do you want to try and keep this a private show? Brandebras, you could do this. Giles, you could as well. And Haladir, you can also feel free to interpose here. You've seen what Giles is doing. Otherwise, what will happen is some of the busybodies from town...
Yes, I'll say. Well, those are the... but this reminds me of a story I heard once about a young man who's fell foul of his family's size. But it all turned out well in the end. Let me tell you about it. So I will start off at great length.
Yeah. Okay, I totally buy that. So that's enough of a distraction. Haladir, what do you do?
I was thinking I might try to kind of unobtrusively sneak outside while, so that I could at least listen in and probably just, show up in the conversation with Giles and Tomas.
Sure. Why don't you give me a stealth roll? You have made yourself the focus of attention, but I think you are probably quite stealthy, right?
I'm pretty stealthy.
Yeah. You don't have any... I don't think you got a trait that would apply here.
No,
so
I don't think so.
I'll just set it at 14 then. I would normally set it as a 12 because it would be easy, but because you sang the song, you do have, you're the only elf in the in the common room, so easy. Yeah,
That's
and
enough,
it's
yeah.
Okay, so you somehow there's the focus is off of you for a moment, and you're gone. So you're able to, we see Giles lead Tomas outside. The door isn't even closed when you catch it, and then step outside and close the door behind you. Brandabras is telling this grandiose story, which is enough of a distraction for you guys to have some privacy outside. So you step out into the evening, and it feels there's a chill in the air because you know that there is fog that comes in on the hills in the evenings as well too, and the higher parts of the hill are actually shrouded in fog as well too. But the streets, the main street outside the Prancing Pony, is mercifully clear still. And all you can hear is the muffled sound of this little hobbit, entertaining the crowd with some elaborate story right now. What do you do next, Giles?
I move my hand from his elbow lightly to his shoulder.
Yep.
And I kind of breathe in deeply of the night air, hoping he'll do the same.
Yep. He does the same.
Yep. And I say, now tell me, Tomas, give me a better accounting of your trip to the graveyard. So let's start with what you were going to do with that sack right there.
Okay. So I think that sounds like awe to me, because you're the reason being is because you're trying to disarm him with your knowledge, like that you're implying you already know part of the story, right?
I don't disagree.
Okay. So then
as bad as a choice as that is for me,
but that's okay. Here's what I'll do though is because Heladir is with you as well. Heladir, how are you with awe?
I am all right with awe. It's probably my best talkie skill.
Sure. So I'll let Heladir make the roll instead, because you do have. Sure. I mean, you're there, sort of directing the conversation, but you've also got the presence of your elf. I'll bump the target number a little bit to 16. Mm-hmm. I'll say 15, and we'll see how Heladir does.
That is not good. Luckily, awe is a favored skill, and my favored body is 8, so I'm going to spend a point of hope and turn that into a 16.
Sure.
Nice.
So what do we see that tells us that this is really it's the presence of this immortal elf that really turns the reaction, or turns this kid to spilling out what he knows.
So I think Heladir is standing there, and Tomas is sort of looking at Giles and kind of almost sizing him up, and then he turns and looks, and he sees, and he makes eye contact with Heladir, and Heladir has that elven long stare, and he's got his Mirkwood bow on his back with his arrows there too, and he's clear that he's, if there's something nasty out there, this guy is the one who knows how to deal with it.
Love it. Yeah, love it. So the what he looks back at you and he says, "Oh, Uncle Timaeus was a treasure hunter. We always had money when he needed it, but didn't leave none of it to our family."
Well, it's not. It's a specific, the way Tolkien uses immortal.
Yes, yeah.
It's not actually.
It's a turn of phrase. Turn of phrase.
For those listening at home, what James Rhodes, calling yourself immortal with Kev as your DM is always ... brave. We have had more characters survive this year than we've had die, though it does so happen that 2 of the ones who have died have been Arlen's. So, although I think that's just a matter of you being on the chopping block more often than anyone else because of the amount of games.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah. So, what he says is that Uncle Timaeus was a treasure hunter. He always had money when he needed it, and I know he had a map. He kept that treasure hidden somewhere, and he had a map, but he didn't leave it to us. He didn't leave it to me dad. He didn't have it anywhere in his house that I could find. So he must have been buried with it. Because that stubborn old guy would not have left it. He would not have destroyed it. And he took ill so quick, he couldn't have had the time to do that. So he must have been arranged to be buried with it. So that's why I went there. I didn't want to disturb him. I don't know why he didn't leave it to... There wasn't no bad blood between Uncle Timaeus and me dad. It just didn't do it. So I was gonna go and dig it up, get me map, and then go and find that money for me dad.
Well, I think you should accompany us as we go to see what exactly you saw in the graveyard.
And he looks at you all. That treasure's not yours. It's mine. And me family's.
We're not going for the treasure, Tomas, but we do need to see what's in the graveyard.
Kind of looks at you guys. But that ghost. That great ghost with them red eyes. I've heard about them things. Dad told me. And Uncle Timaeus. They eat your bones, they say. Eat your flesh and use them bones as toothpicks. And he looks over at you, Heladir. But I suppose... Alright. If you're going, then I'm going. And we'll go... Never let it be said the Heathertons aren't generous people. You'll get 1/4, 1/4. What he's got. Is that a deal?
Giles looks at Heladir.
Heladir just sort of nods, like, okay.
Seems fair, Tomas.
All right.
Let me poke my head in and give Bandabras that it's time to wrap up the story.
Okay. So, Bandabras, what do we see as we cut back inside?
I'm standing on a stool and waving my arms a bit, and I'm telling them about my third cousin twice removed and his experiences of this, and the pub is starting to look a little weary of it and looking into
He's getting lost in his own story.
I mean, when you went from the second cousin to the third cousin, it really got a little murky there.
But it's important, I tell you.
Of course.
All right.
So as I see Master Rushlight stick his head through the door, I let it fade away and then have a little fade back into the background.
Okay. So you hop down, and there's a bit... You can see that, like, in the midst of telling your story, people have gone back to their own conversations in some cases. The only person who's following you wrapped along is that old guy who was so enraptured by the things. He's just like, right? And then what? So you sort of hop off the stool and start going around, and you hear this rapping of a cane on the ground, or on the floor of the Prancing Pony, and you hear the voice... Finish your story! He's not done yet! And you hear, shut up, you old fool! And then it's kind of, the crowd kind of laughs at him, and the crowd once again gets lost in its own sort of hubbub. You've done a perfect exit by just, boring them to the to the point of distraction. So you hop down, and you're able to join your comrades outside. And you can see there is a... when you step out there, you can see Giles is standing next to Tomas. Heladir is sort of standing, watching Tomas, I guess. And everyone kind of turns to watch you as they come out, or as you come out. And what happens next, guys?
Lead the way, young Timaeus. Lead the way.
And he looks and he says, "Oh no! If you're going to be earning a share of that treasure, one of you is going to be leading the way."
Very well. Well, I can get us to the graveyard.
You know the way that to the graveyard, Giles Rushlight.
I do indeed. I will be happy to lead at least until then. You can show us where exactly it is when we arrive.
All right. So you guys start. You make your way to the gate, and the watchman is that he's basically like the father of that old guy at the gate in Fellowship. Rehobbits! You know, that guy. So he, kind of says, "What are you going outside for?" "Master Rushlight, you're always going around. Secrets and nuts. Oh, and you, Timaeus, you Tomas, you just got in."
We are here making the rounds and to pay respects to this young man's kin.
"Did you just got back from doing that?" And Tomas says, "And we're going to do it again, you busybody. Open the door." And he says, all right. Elves and hobbits and Giles Rushlight going and froing. Fine. Just my job, that's all. And he opens the door and leads you guys, or lets you guys pass outside. He says, "Suppose you'll be running back again soon, eh, Tomas?" And Tomas kind of shoots him a look.
As we go by, Giles says, we are far rest assured that your keen eye is on the job, sir."
"Oh, well, just doing me job." He lets you out and closes the door. "Always said that Rushlight boy would grow up well." And Heladir, I think your keen elf ears hear that, but then you guys are Heladir. The path to reach the graveyard is, as I said, only about 10-minute walk. But in the... And let me cut and paste some your tokens here so we can enjoy that still. I think we need something a little more somber for this as well. Let's see what we got on offer. Let's see here. What's this? Uh-huh. Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
So, our trio of, or our fellowship, I suppose, begins making its way out of the gate of Bree and in the darkness towards the waiting graveyard. To reach the graveyard, like I said, only takes about 10 minutes, but it really only takes you about 5 minutes walk before you find yourself completely swallowed by the darkness. There's no natural lights here. Once you step beyond the gates of, or the walls of Bree, it feels as if you've left all light behind. The moon is shrouded by a thin layer of cloud, so though there is some light, it's certainly not enough to clearly see where you're going. Heladir, you may be the exception here with your keen elf eyes.
Well, and my folk of the dusk ability that my people are used to traveling by moonlight and by starlight, so
nice.
I'm actually better in situations where I'm in dim light like that.
Oh, perfect. So then, yeah, you are clearly able to make out every bit. What you can see is the well-worn path lined with flowers that runs between... Oh, forgive me, it's the south gate of Bree, which I think is the one on the bottom here. So it's right down here is where you guys left. So you make your way along, and then there are wisps of fog that are still clinging, or mist maybe, that are clinging to the some of the low mounds, but it's not, like it's not anywhere near enough to shroud your shroud your perspective or your vision whatsoever. Helidir in particular, you can see quite clearly all the most of the graveyard. When you reach the mound where Timaeus has been laid to rest, it's this, Giles, but the custom of the folk of Bree it's effectively kind of like a lesser version of the barrow tradition, that they bury bodies in a mound with grass on top, and it's left. They're not. You don't dig graves and put them deep in the earth. You don't have headstones or anything like that. It's just simply that. And the way that the locals will just remember who is buried where. And in this one, it's easy it's easy to spot because it is the most recent. It is the newest of the mounds. Now, as you begin approaching it too, I think, Helidir, do you have any trait that speaks to, like, perception or anything like that? Or
I do not.
You do not. So why don't you give me... This is going to be a very low target number. I'll put it at 10 for search, please. I know you're not actively searching, but I just want to see if... Nice, okay. So what you can tell is... Oh, that's bang on the number, too. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
So you ticking your advantage? Or advantage your advancement?
I already have two dots on perception, so I don't get a new one.
So what you can tell, Helidir, as you approach this is not only is this a new grave, or rather the newest, I suppose, of all the mounds that make up this region. This one has been recently opened and then closed again. And you can spy off to your left as you approach. And Helidir, you're the only one who sees this because of your clear vision. There is a spade that's been tossed aside. It's about maybe 20 or 25 paces off of the path that you are currently... There's not really a path leading up, but the track, I guess, that you are heading up towards this recent grave or mound.
I think I'll go investigate. Well, first I'll ask Tomas, is that your doing? And gesture to the spade and
he looks over. Oh, my spade. Oh, I forgot that I brought that with me. Yeah, that's mine. I must have dropped it when I was running from that ghost. You don't see him, do you? Oh, there'd be no fooling seeing him. He's got red eyes.
How far did you get in digging up the barrow?
I didn't. I didn't even get a chance to. I got there, and that ghost was scrambling around in the dirt, picking away at it. Right? And his hand kind of is trembling as it goes up. Right over there. And he points towards the mound that you spotted as being recently dug up. The mound where Timaeus was laid to rest.
Giles immediately strides right over to where he points.
Okay.
For a look.
So now, as you get closer, once you get really right underneath it, you can see that, exactly as I described to Helidir, that this mound has been recently unearthed and placed back again. Some of the grass isn't quite sitting properly, and yeah, that's a dark act, obviously. Like the grave robbing is. Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
So, can I investigate to see if there are like any tracks or anything around like the base of the mound?
Yeah, so that would be a search action as well too, and it not to metagame too much, but if you're not great at search, you may want to defer to someone who may be better.
Yeah, so maybe I will suggest, guys, is anybody particularly adept tracker might be able to see if there's anything.
Unfortunately for Guile's aspirations of being a ranger, his tracking sucks.
Okay. Well, why don't I just my tracking sucks too, but why don't I just make a roll and we'll see. And
okay.
All right. TN.
I think it'll be a 14 as well.
14.
Yeah.
That is not well.
It's a 10.
Wait a second. A 10, and I could spend another point of hope to add 5 to that. So why don't I do that?
Okay.
Cool.
So what do we see in fiction? What's going on with Heladir as you're all sort of spread out and looking at, trying to get a sense of what what's been going on here?
So we see Heladir kind of circles around the base of the mound, and he's sort of looking, and he crouches down and is peering very closely at the grass and the upturned dirt and all that sort of stuff. And then I assume he sees a single print of whatever did this.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to refund your point of hope that you spent because what I should have said is that you do have a trait that applies.
Okay,
because building on what you said before, the whole reason that you were tweaked, you remember overhearing about that?
Is that I think that it's a troll print. That's why I said not
absolutely.
A boot print. Yep.
So there is you heard about that barn? Remember there was the farmer who was complaining about the eggs not laying for a couple of days? Was blaming the Rangers for it?
Right.
Heladir, I believe you overheard and were like, that doesn't sound like... Rangers. You remember that trolls could be devilishly clever for hiding from the sunlight. And knowing that you overheard and the way that Tomas described this thing, I think you would have been instead looking clearly for that. Mm-hmm. Knowing that you're not a particularly adept tracker, you could have just been looking specifically for that. And sure enough, there is a couple traces of trampled blades of grass. But here's the unusual thing. There's really only like 1.5 print. Otherwise, whatever this creature has been uncannily adept at hiding its presence. Your Shadow Lord knows that to judge those creatures as stupid lumbering oafs based on their size is a lethal miscalculation of their actual threat. So this is not unusual, particularly for old trolls.
Heladir, can you tell if it still remains, or has it traipsed off?
If anyone wants to try and, now that you've spotted this, if anyone wants to try and follow these tracks, that would actually be a hunting roll. Is anyone a little better at hunting?
Giles has fundamental competence at hunting. How about you guys?
A little bit of confidence.
I'm good at stories.
Okay.
Well, that's enough for me.
So, who would like... I mean, Heladir, I guess you're the one who did spot this, so why don't we carry on with you? It'll be a TN 14 hunting test. I'll see if you can pick up a trail here.
Okay.
Oh!
That's terrible. I cannot pick up a trail, I don't think. Even if I spent hope, that's not enough.
Okay. So you're, as I said, like, these things can be uncannily stealthy.
And it's tough in the darkness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Though his elf eyes should not be hindered by that whatsoever. So Helidir has not had a lot of luck with this. Would anyone else? I'm happy with letting someone else take a stab at this if they...
I'm going to go scrambling around in the dirt as well to see if I can pick it up.
Sure.
14?
TN 14, please, yeah.
There we go.
Nice. And a
With
great success.
And a great success.
Awesome. Okay, so if you have not ticked whatever advancement row that is, be sure to do that, because you get a second one now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what...
Oh, the second one. It's a great success.
Well, no. It's if you haven't got one right now, then you get one. To get the second one, when you make a success with the roll, you get the first one. When you need a great success to get the second one, you need an extraordinary success to get the third one.
Cool. Interesting.
Yeah. So that.
So I pick up where Helidir left off.
Yeah.
So I see where Helidir starts, and then maybe pauses.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, over here.
Yeah. And what you can see is there is a track, or there are tracks here. And, Helidir, do you say anything about how tricky this thing seems to be, or how clever it seems to be?
Yeah, I'm probably, as I'm finding things, I'm sort of looking and thinking and say, this thing... this one is not some brutish thug come to steal and plunder without any sense of leaving a trail. This is very clever, very devious one that we're on the trail of.
Yeah. So Giles, bearing that in mind, you set aside your assumption that this would be something like a lumbering bear, or cow that would make a clear and easy track to follow. Once you take that mindset, you're able to find a path and tracks that appear to that lead southward, away from town.
I say, I'm feeling confident. It's this way, and I spare an eye to Tomas to see how he's holding up. Quickly.
Tomas is sort of hanging on. He is eager to, his confidence has come back a fair amount, and he's not involving himself because he doesn't know much about this stuff. He's trying to help look around for tracks and whatever, but he doesn't have much to offer you. But he's definitely invested in what's going on now.
I say to him, as an aside, before trundling off on this track.
Yep.
I say, worry not, Tomas. Bandabras has done this plenty of times. And I say it with deadpan, complete seriousness.
Yeah.
And then head off following the track.
Okay.
I might add, grab that spade or you'll never hear the end of it, Tomas.
And he looks and his flushes a little bit and then scrambles over, grabs the spade and comes back. And Giles, he looks at you and says, wait, are we just heading out into the wild then? No food, no nothing.
We don't plan on spending the night. Just keep close.
You guys would know with shadow lore, like, this thing's probably not within... it is unlikely, given how the territory is here. Let's just take a look at what Bree, the kind of region, looks like.
You have shadow lore as a specialty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, these things come, either down from the Weathered Hills through the Chetwood, or out of the Midgewater Marshes, or the South Downs, which means that that's more than a day's travel to the south. It's not unusual for things to come down. It's really unusual for them to come so close to Bree, but this will be at least, from experience, and Helidir, you as well, this is going to be at least a day's travel. If you just start trying to blunder out to follow the tracks without adequate preparation.
Giles was only thinking to do this because Tomas's encounter with it was so recent, but if his shadow lore tells him that the track is already too cold that he woke up.
It's not that. You can follow the tracks. It's that the tracks are... You're unlikely to catch this thing.
Okay.
Okay, like...
so it's going to move faster than us, so we need to find its lair, not track it on the road.
Yeah. I think that you've maybe heard stories about this, but Helidir for sure has been, how do you think you came across your shadow lore?
Well, I was thinking my shadow lore, since I'm from Mirkwood, probably has a lot more to do with spiders and things.
Yeah.
But I think I have spent some time kind of out at the kind of fringes of the Mirkwood Kingdom and seeing the evidence of the shadow.
Sure. So what you would know is that from you don't really make it to the Misty Mountains or up north to the the wastes of Angbad or of Angmar, but you know that like trolls when necessary. It's another mistake people make about trolls. Trolls again aren't lumbering, slow moving brutes. They can move on all fours as fast as a man on horse. So they are. Like if this thing is traveling over land like that, it's like, think of like bears, right? Like bears lumbering around on two legs. Yeah, I could easily outpace one, but if it's on all fours, it's going to be trouble.
And was our impression in looking at the gravesite that this thing probably didn't get what it came for? Like, it's not disturbed enough, right?
It certainly is disturbed enough to have been completely excavated and put back, but you won't know unless you open it up.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But I think all of you know that is basically you'll get a point of shadow by doing that.
Yeah.
I see.
That's not to say that's just part of. There's a lot of stuff that you guys would do by necessity that will accrue shadow, but just to be aware that's what might happen.
Yep.
So, I think maybe what we see is, Giles, you start, because it makes sense that your character's eager to be like, I'm a ranger now, and try to start following out, and maybe it's Helidir who cautions him that preparations, when Tomas starts chirping off about that, Helidir, you could say that, preparations may be necessary. You don't need to wait a day or anything like that. You could just go. Like I can tell you that you're not going to get a chance. Normally, when we transition into the travel mode, we or whatever it's called in this game, I can't remember. I'm thinking PF2. You get a chance to make a lore check to make your way out, but you guys don't know where you're going, so you don't get a chance to do that.
Could we try to figure out if there's somebody like in Bree who has a map that we could use to?
Bree are the folk of Bree are notoriously incurious. They don't. They're focused. That's why there's part of the reason why there's such remorseless gossips. There's all this, it's also probably part of the reason they've survived too, is they're no threat whatsoever. They are much more interested in what's going on in their town and in their neighbors' lives than they are in the incredibly ancient history that's available, sort of on their doorstep.
Yep.
So unfortunately, there's not going to be there's not going to be sufficient access to anything like that to be able to...
They're not natural adventurers, huh?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
They don't trust rangers, and that's why you're such an aberration, Giles, is that they think you're a little touched.
Wild man.
Yeah.
Used to be very respectable until you came around.
Exactly. So
the other thing I was wondering is if there's a way to investigate kind of what I found and what Giles has found about the trail and all that sort of stuff to try to like roll lore to figure out anything specific about this troll that might identify it.
I don't think so. I don't know if there's any additional...
Maybe there's something about the track. Is he missing a toe?
What you've done thus far is you've learned a great deal about how this troll differs.
Yeah, we've learned a fair bit about him.
Yeah, so from the available information right now, it's a good idea to be thinking of like, okay, what more can I learn about this? I just don't know if there's enough to work with beyond what the things you've extrapolated, that this thing is unusually clever, that this thing is, very stealthy. I mean, trolls themselves can be quite crafty and secretive as well, but What I will tell you is, on consideration, you can make a lore check for me against a TN 16, or you can just take, or not, what is it lore? What's the skill I'm thinking of here? Is there a skill called lore, or am I crazy?
Lore is a skill, yes.
Yes, you can make a lore roll against TN 16, or you can just use shadow lore as an automatic success.
For more information?
There might be one more bit of information you might be able to gain.
Why don't I roll lore just to...
Sure.
I'm pretty good at it.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
look at that.
Gandalf rune. Awesome. Unfortunately, not a single 6. God dang. So, what you can pick up, and geez, now I got to remember what it was. I got distracted by something and it completely slipped my mind.
Yeah, you're on the spot now.
Yeah. Well, as I had it in my mind, and then we started talking about something else, and I could feel it slip away, and I'm like, I really got to see how it does in that dice roll, because...
Should we take a break?
No. I'll think of it in a sec here. So there was... What was the other thing? Oh, I know what it was. If this thing indeed is grabbing and eating... What Tomas was saying about trolls and things coming in and feeding on, corpses, effectively, that's not wrong.
Yep.
So if this thing is indeed coming in, it may come back for more snacks, as it were. Not the living people, because it doesn't want to... That's a level of trouble it doesn't want. But, if it slipped back into town, disturbed another mound or two, made off with a tasty, well-seasoned...
Do I have any sense that might be why it raided this barrow, this mound in particular? Because this is the freshest one, as opposed to that it has some, uncanny sense of treasure that is here?
So what you would... I mean, are you looking to see if there are any other mounds that have been disturbed?
Sure. Why don't we check and see if there's any other ones?
I mean, that's just gonna take time. You sort of look around. This seems to be the only one. So this seems to be the first one to be disturbed. You know that they often will come back, but it would be a weird coincidence if it just so happened that the one that was supposed to have been buried with a map would be the only one disturbed.
With our shadow lore, do we know if trolls would be expected to be interested in a treasure map? Is that something that they would pursue?
Trolls are much more clever than what they and crafty than what
Give them credit for
the cave troll from Fellowship is not really an accurate portrayal of how they're depicted in Tolkien's stuff. They're not lumbering ogres. They can be devilish, especially old ones too.
Well, and there's a little bit of the more that the shadow is influencing them, the less they are like that they're kind of lumbering ogres when Sauron's in command, and then when he lets them go, they're much they're thinky types.
Well, and they're all because they're said to have been made in mockery of Ents. And and so just so with that in mind, they that's how much you guys know about this stuff. So
with my I will, for what it's worth, with my great success in my tracking, I'll try to note any anomalies in its print if there happens to be something I could recognize.
You know what I'll do is I will actually give you one success dice, or whatever it's called, advantage dice, or whatever. The extra dice you can use in the travel component. Okay. That's how I'll interpret that. Is that you've got from the way you've been describing your character, he's probably been not ranging in the sense of doing the work of the rangers, because you haven't really had a chance to have a conversation with one yet at great length. It's just you've heard more positive. You see them in a much more positive light than what the rest of your neighbors do. And you've spent some time wandering around these areas, so you maybe have got you've got something that may benefit you on the travels ahead. Okay. And let's boom. Speaking of which, I'll put everyone down here. Okay, so what happens next then? Brandabras, you've been fairly quiet as everyone's been, snooping around in the graveyard out here. What are you doing?
I'll be standing there listening to all the mysterious and worldly discussions going on. I've only heard the rumors of these troll folks, so it's all interesting what you're all saying. I'm storing it in my little mind.
Okay.
Good stories when I get home.
Okay.
Maybe should we be going back and get something to eat? Because this we've been out here for a while.
With a smile, Giles says, "Is it time for second dinner?"
I've already had second.
I'm behind then, so perhaps we should.
Okay. Then, if nothing else is going to happen in the graveyard here, guys, you guys can, you pass back through the south gate again. You see that old busybody once again, back and forth, back and forth. Can't decide where you want to go. So you're led back in. It is getting fairly late in the hour. Do you guys wish to try and travel through the night then, or do you wish to wait until the light of day?
Well, since we're not trying to catch up with it, perhaps we wait for the light of day.
Okay. Sure.
What do you two think?
I think that's a good idea.
Tomas insists that you swear that you will not leave without him.
I don't think we have any intention of leaving without you, Tomas.
You swear to me. We've got a deal.
I swear to you, if you change your mind in the morning, we may drag you along.
Oh, you won't be needing to drag me nowhere. That treasure's my family's by right.
You're going to earn your 3/4 of it in the morning.
I certainly will. You'll find me ready. Can't be saying that us Heathertons are made of weak stuff. We'll see you tomorrow.
I see you're a plucky man, Master Hetherington.
I'd say you're a good judge of character, Mr. Albert. Then, tomorrow morning. And he goes stomping off in that, he's angrily kind of moving his spade.
I call after him. We'll rendezvous at the Prancing Pony in the morning.
I'll be there. You make sure you're ready. So you guys head back into the what do you call it? You guys head back into the Prancing Pony. What do we see as you guys head your way back in?
I'm thinking probably a little bit of chatter about our journey in the morning. What to bring and sleep well. And although we're going back to Prancing Pony, so we're still in going to be in each other's company. I'm going to have a pint before I head to bed, probably.
Okay. So as you guys head in, you grab a pint. What about Helidir and Brandabras?
I'll have a half pint, but I'll have a nice bit of pork pie.
Nice. And Helidir?
I think Helidir is sensible enough that he's going to head to his room and kind of prepare all his things for the journey in the morning.
Sure. So
I'm going to keep an eye out for that dwarf too. He's still an unanswered. He's a loose thread. How about that? He's a loose thread.
Yeah, that's right. Because you tried to talk to the dwarf last session, right? Or
remind me.
I know.
What did I?
I can't remember if I know that he left and went upstairs.
I thought I took a look. I thought I was in a. Tell me if I'm wrong. I thought I was in like a big chair and leaned over trying to keep an eye on him, and then I made eye contact.
Right, that's what
and
it was.
that's when he took off.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Give me a sec here. I want to check one thing. You are reckless.
I am.
Yeah. So I
tried to go boldly striding up to the.
I'm not sure that works to your benefit in this situation. Let me do this. Hold on. Okay. So, you guys don't see this, but what you in the film version of this, as all of you guys go in, and Giles, you sit at the bar, and you're nursing your pint. Brandabras, you grab a appropriate sized chair and kind of prop yourself up and get your pork pie. Look at that pork pie. And, you're digging into your food. The camera sort of goes outside, and we can see through the big glass looking in. We cut across to the far side in the alleyway, and we see that same pipe that the dwarf was smoking from before. It lights up, and it catches in eyes. He's across the alleyway and staring directly at Giles. In fact, you may think that he followed you when you guys all left the Prancing Pony.
And Giles, you say he knows.
Giles is completely oblivious to this.
Okay.
The viewers and you as players know that this has happened.
Gotcha.
But we do not. Okay. So then the morning comes, guys, and we find ourselves ready to set out. Let me transition back over to our... Okay. Our music for travel. So, guys, what do we see as you guys are collecting or getting ready to hit the road? Hold on, I might have a more upbeat thing here. Let me see. There we go. Traveling tunes.
I think Giles is up early with his pack spread out on his bed and kind of very officious, sort of placing things deliberately, in a very kind of a little bit overly serious manner of packing for the adventure ahead.
Sure. Yeah. That's tracking a troll.
Exactly. This is ranger work.
For sure. Yeah. Helidir, what about yourself?
Oh, Helidir is ready early. Probably the first one down into the sort of common room in the Prancing Pony, and we can see he's instead of his kind of light traveling clothes, he's got his leather. Well, it's armor, but it's light armor on, and he's got his bow and his quiver of arrows on his back, and he's got his kind of long, kind of greenish gray elf cloak hanging down, and he looks well prepared and kind of familiar with what he's about to do.
Yep. Okay. And what about Brandabras? What do we see of him?
So Brandabras is just out in the yard, and he's just got his backpack, which is an inherited one he got from his granddad.
Yeah. Who
also did some adventuring, but not too far. And he's got his all packed up. He's got his Lucky Mail shirt on underneath, a dark green cloak, and he's just stuffing the last bits of some provisions in the top.
Nice.
A couple of bottles of stone bottles of beer he picked up from the Prancing Pony. Nice. Eager to be off.
Excellent. Okay, and that's when Tomas comes, walking up to you guys. And let's do this. We're about to take our mid-session break, but let's discuss what travel is going to look like. So, travel, normally what happens is each of you guys, not normally, this is what's going to happen here as well. Everyone is assigned a different role. You can have people doubling up on the roles, but you need generally to have one person in each of them. Tomas can be assigned a role as well. I can tell you that Timaeus is not great at anything, so you may want to assign him, at least not great at any of the skills that are particularly useful for traveling. So you may want to assign him the thing that is, you can, whatever, you can weigh that in. So the roles,
he's good at blundering into trolls.
He's pretty good at that so far, yes. Yep. And apparently attempted grave robbery, so there's that. Right. So the roles are the guide, the huntsman, the scouts, and the lookout men. So, and those you can see on the... Did I have you on the right page here? I do, yes. So, what I'd ask you guys to do is, let's talk about who you think will be in each role, and then we'll leave Tomas in the role that you guys do not select. And then we'll talk about Well, actually, then we'll take our break, and then we'll come back and start heading out into the South Downs.
Giles is best suited for either scout or lookout.
Helidir would make a good guide or a lookout man.
And what skills are useful for these? I've got a good spell.
They're listed under the roles on the chart over here.
Yeah, so like right here it says guide, and then travel is what guide uses, hunting is what huntsmen use, explore is what scouts use, and awareness is what lookout men use. And the way it works, James, is that you guys will make travel rolls, which are just your travel skill. This is to reflect sort of like the exhaustion you get as you're traveling along. If any of you guys roll an Eye of Sauron, it'll trigger a hazard. And then the hazard will dictate, usually it's by what roll you're in, or I can roll randomly and pick one of the rolls, and then that roll will face some kind of skill-related challenge, or there might be a combat encounter, or some other thing that, makes the trip more interesting. So you generally want to make sure you've got someone in those roles who is good at it to meet the challenges that come from the hazard. You may not need it. You may travel without incident, but in the event that you do run into troubles, that's where you want to have someone who's usually good at those roles.
Mm-hmm.
So those roles are awareness for the lookout men, explore for the scouts, hunting for the huntsman, and travel for the guide.
So I think unless anyone any of his comrades objects, Giles is just presuming to be on point. He's obvious. He feels he's the obvious choice for the ranger point. So He goes striding out in front as soon as it's time.
Okay, so then he would be the guide, I guess, or the lookout?
Lookout. He wants to be the lookout.
Okay, so let's put Giles under lookout. Okay. What is Brandebras? Is he passable at travel, hunting, or explore?
I guess travel's my least bad.
Okay. Then what about awareness? Is his awareness better than his travel?
Oh, well, they're equally bad.
Okay, then there you go. Then that works. How about Helidir?
We might want to do... Helidir is good at travel and awareness, so the two things that he's really good at have both been taken.
I can also explore.
Okay, well then let's do that. Let's have you explore and I'll do awareness if you're good at explore.
So
Okay.
I think Helidir would have to talk Giles out of being the point lookout, but we'll assume that happened.
Well, even the scout is sort of the person who's running up ahead and, keeping an eye out for trouble and stuff. So, I mean, I could see that being attractive to Giles as well.
And I think that's what Helidir tells him.
Sure.
No, that works too. This is very good for you.
Maybe it's like these hills better than...
there you go.
Yeah, than any.
Yeah.
So that's why you're up front. That leaves Tomas to be the huntsman. Okay, so let's do this, guys. Then we'll take our break now, and then we will come back, and then we'll start having you guys go out. I'm going to quickly, in between the break, I will also upload the image that I forgot to for Tomas, and then we can use that for him in the huntsman role.
Cool.
Okay, so back momentarily.
Arlen, I'm getting ready to run Conan on Tuesday for a regular group I have.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be my first time with it, running it anyway. So, looking forward to that. Trying to bone up on all of Conan's little moving parts.
Yeah, there's definitely more than a few moving parts.
There really are. There's some that book, man. You just all of a sudden you run into something, and you're like, seriously, where'd this come from? You know?
Yeah.
There's like rules and stuffed in little paragraphs places once in a while that. And no one's played it before in the group, so yeah, it'll be good. You guys had a good centipede smashing session, I understand.
I guess so.
Yeah, Ash was a lot of fun yesterday. We've been playing a lot of fun games. Because Champions, that third session Champions was great, and then we got a big kind of story development in the Pathfinder 2 game with Serene. And by big, I don't mean it's a big event in the story. I mean it's a big dragon.
Ah. So you encountered a dragon? Or you heard word of one?
We found out about the sort of primary antagonist for a while, or we assume it's going to be a primary antagonist for a while. He hasn't actually done anything super nasty to us yet that we can definitively say, so maybe we'll be able to talk him down, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That persuasion check would be tough.
Yeah.
Well, they know
that's why you need a game like this, so you can use riddle on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or song, if really desperate.
Yes.
Okay. So where we left our heroes was about to set forth into the south. Oh, let me quickly load the illustration I mentioned too. Okay. No, it's been a good. I've seen people posting a lot of like summaries, pictures of all the games that they've played this year, and
nice.
The prospect of loading all those images. We've had a really, really fun year on the channel, right? So
cool. Your total session count, Kevin, it's got to be impressive.
I'm looking forward to doing an hour count of it, because we get
nice.
it's at least like 12 hours a week we've been doing. So you figure that's 52 weeks in a year. It's a really fun year.
The hour count, that's not something I do, but that makes a lot of sense. I should probably add that to mine, because I do track it with a spreadsheet for fun.
Yeah.
But I don't do it by the hour, which is meaningful. Because like I used to run a Dark Heresy campaign where all of our sessions were 8 hours.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah, we played every other week for 8 hours for 3 years.
Holy smokes!
Those were good times.
Yeah, it's our back when we had less responsibilities.
Right.
We ran a like our 4th edition D&D campaign. We would run like your 8 to 12 hour sessions every Saturday for like a year or so, and it was pretty intense. So there's Tomas. I do an hour of drawing every day, and it's been going on this is my 7th year of doing that, and it's just like, when, because of the hour count, if I carry this on until I'm 60 or 65 or something like that, it'll be an entire year I'll spend drawing,
So I think you need to do a seminar on time management, because between, full-time job, running like a gazillion campaigns, one-shots, and now an hour of drawing every day? Like what exactly? So you don't sleep, right? We can eliminate that.
It is, no, it's an obsession with making use of all available time. That's
I guess so.
That's more of a character flaw than it is.
If you say so. It sounds pretty impressive from this end, but if you say so.
Well, it's very kind of you to say, but it's, it's when I was a kid, we had a teacher, when I was in like grade 5 or something. And this is something I made a point of not saying to my son until he was too old for it to set loose. But this guy made us sit in class silent for a minute and watch a minute tick around on a clock. And then he says to us afterwards, and this is when we're like 12 years old or 13 years old, he says, "That is a minute you will never get back." The way you just spent that minute is something you can never spend again in any different way. It is one of the finite number that you're going to have that make up your life, so make a decision of how you want to spend your minutes. And that's, like, what a fucked up thing to tell to a kid. but no, that's informed a lot of who I am, you know, I like making sure I'm making use of all my time, so.
That's awesome.
That is it.
Well, I run one campaign, and I look at you, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like,
no,
I'm not running. I need to
no doubt
like,
a lot more. Well, you said you were playing beach volleyball before, too. You know, the last time I was in the mountains.
And I'm just whining. I get a lot of gaming in. I have no complaints.
Yeah.
But still, I would love to be running 2 or 3 more campaigns, right? You know, as usual. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's been a really great year. It's been a very, very, very gratifying year. So, it's, yeah. So...
Yeah.
Speaking of gaming and speaking of killing characters, let's venture out into the dangerous South Downs then. So for the character, let's hear the fellowship token. Let me see what I got here. Let's use. Oh, there's Pelargir. Or we'll use a ranger token. How about? Boom. There's our party token. So you guys are in Bree and setting forth into the South Downs. So let me turn back to the page I need here. Now normally what we would do, James, because this is your first time playing One Ring, normally what we would do is we would make a lore check. You would know what your path is, you'd make a lore check, and then each individual character would be able to bank a number of dice they could use, success dice like the D6s, that they could then use on their rolls throughout the trip. But because you guys are tracking something, you're not able to do that. You don't know where you're going, so your lore is not going to avail you at all. Instead, what I need from you is to first, let's hear. Yes. So the first part of the journey is going to be easy. The lands just to the south of the road are still farmland, or at least the stones remember being tilled when the region was more populous, and many paths crisscross the countryside. So you guys are heading down to about here right now. What I need from you guys is, first off, would everyone kindly give me a... Oh, where is it here? A travel roll, and the TN is going to be 14.
And let me ask you, Kevin, you mentioned about an extra die.
Yes, you have one that you can use during this travel phase.
Oh, so anytime. Gotcha.
Anytime, yeah. And I let you spend it afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want to play Iron Man, you're welcome to spend it before, but...
Look at that.
Wow.
Hot damn, Helidir. Holy shit.
Smokes.
And that's a great success, so that adds a second dot on the tier, right?
Oh, very cool.
Yes, it
For
does.
the advancement.
Yep. Yes, it does, yeah. Oh, Brandabras. Oh, Giles! Oh my.
Giles doesn't leave Bree very often, does he?
So here's the thing.
I think Giles might have
Dreams
missed
of being a ranger, not
Right.
experience being a ranger.
Exactly.
So here's the way that these dice, what this is going to model, it doesn't mean that it triggers a hazard. It's only when we see an Eye of Sauron on one of those rolls that we trigger a hazard. What this does mean, though, is that you suffer fatigue. Now, because you guys are traveling in the summertime, it tells us how much stuff you're carrying. This is a summertime roll, so you're only suffering 2 fatigue each, those of you who failed.
Mm-hmm.
So this you'll have to go to your character sheet and then add 2 travel fatigue to your thing. What this does is it bumps you up towards the threshold where you become weary, and you start having to ignore some of the success dice. You ignores 1, 2, and 3 results on the success dice, on the D6s.
And sorry again, that's when your endurance equals your shadow? Or no, your... Oh, for fatigue, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
So that is the first... It seems like this first... Even though you're traveling over relatively, amenable terrain, it does appear that this has taken its toll on both Master Took and Master Rushlight. Why do you think that is, guys?
Well, for Giles, it's because... So first of all, he made the he kind of he was, he was very intent on being the lookout man. And now that he's in the scout role, he realizes, kind of to his embarrassment, that really it's the scout that he wanted to be all along. And he just didn't know what the roles were.
Yep.
But he's out there roaming. Like, he's not actually good at this. So, I mean, he's okay at it, but so he's like walking way more than need be. He's extremely inefficient. He's just full of enthusiasm. So he's walking 4 miles for every mile that the group goes.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Master Took?
Well, Banderbras is realizing that maybe he partook a bit too much of that strange Bree food. It's not what he's used to at all. And his stomach's not really quite feeling the way it should be.
Okay. that last pork pie was a mistake.
The 5th pork pie. It's always the 5th one. It's just brutal.
Okay. So at the evening of the first day, you guys are all sitting around the campfire, and Master Took is, although he is preparing, it seems like quite the sumptuous spread for you guys, relatively speaking, for travel food. He's not partaking in it quite as much as he normally would. Still more than any of the rest of you, because he's a hobbit. He needs to keep up his strength. But not quite as much as what you expect. You saw him eat at the Prancing Pony. On the second day, by the noon of the second day, I should say, you guys found... Let's see here. Right. You find yourselves climbing into the stony hills of the South Downs. A monotonous, rolling landscape where each pile of shale and scanty grass hides another dozen hills, all identical. The paths in this part of the world are treacherous. Valleys end suddenly in box canyons, and loose stones are always eager to twist an ankle or trap a foot. And this is troll country, and you need to be made of stone to be at home here. So for this, guys, as you guys travel into the South Downs, I need you to give me another travel check at a TN of 16, please.
I'm going to spin that die, Kevin.
Okay.
And I just roll an extra D6.
Just roll a D6, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Oh, hell, a deer again. Good God. Oh, Goyles. Oh, boy.
There we go.
Brandabras. Oh, you
I guess I should roll an extra one as well?
No, you don't roll an extra one. What you can do is you can choose to spend hope to get a success on that. Otherwise, you failed again, and you will. So if you fail the test, then what you get is another 2 fatigue.
Oh, so I'll use some hope here.
Okay. So, and is that enough to get you up to 16?
So if I spend hope, how much? What do I get?
You get to add your heart, I believe.
Yep, heart.
Yeah,
and that's...
if travel is underlined, you get to add your favored heart.
All right, no, but I get to add 7. So.
Oh yeah, then you're. Yeah, so that if you spend a point of hope, you don't suffer any fatigue. And Giles, unfortunately, that just puts you at an 11. You're still 5 behind.
Now I have my heart is my strength. So it would be enough. Arlen, what do you think? Do you think this is a place to spend? I mean, I have plenty of hope. Should I spend hope here, or should I take the fatigue?
Long campaign, I would say take the fatigue. In this, I think do whatever you feel like.
Yeah. Here's a
long campaign. The thing is, it's hard to regenerate hope, and that's by design.
Yep.
But in here, it might as well.
Yeah.
If you feel like spending.
Yeah, and
just
fatigue also is like it. The more fatigue you gather, the closer, the less damage you can take from combat before you become weary.
Yep. I'll spend the hope, which adds 7. My heart is 7.
Brilliant. Yeah. So you are. Yeah. No problem.
Yep.
All right. So then, you guys are. One second here. Sorry. All right, so this is it's 2 days of travel that you spend in the South Downs. So and it's tough going. I'm not sure if any of you have ever walked on Scree, but it is brutal. It is exhausting because you're going uphill and you don't have steady footing. You know, it's like running on sand. You know, by the end of the second day, though, you guys have not suffered. I think clearly you just needed to kind of get your stride, as it were, and you don't suffer any further fatigue as a result of these travels. And on the 3rd day of your travels is there is something that comes in as you approach the travel on about the afternoon of the 3rd day. There's a thick bank of fog that comes rolling in, and both Helidir and Giles, you know that this fog has an unwholesome and unnatural feel to it. As you approach, it looms and lopes like an old troll, as though an army of mist monsters were advancing upon you. And the fog is in fact so thick as it comes in that once it's upon you, you have fear of losing each other. And let me change out here. As this fog comes in, you can hear the sounds of your footsteps underneath you, the crunch of the scree and the stones, but everything else is muffled by this fog. What I need you guys to do, please, is to each give me a search test against a TN of 14. Okay. Whoa.
Wow.
Extraordinary success. So here's what happens, guys. Helidir, in spite of your elven senses, the keenness of your things, this is so... I think the oppressive and ill-willed nature of this fog, it just is really throwing you off. And for the first time in a very, very, very long time, you bona fide have no idea where you are. Like in relation to everything else, you know, you feel completely enveloped in this stuff. Giles, you don't have you don't suffer any mechanical penalty, but I imagine that there is an element of fear when you suddenly feel that, am I alone?
Yeah,
am I alone out here?
Giles is obliviously strode off into the fog.
Yeah, and you turn around and then you realize that you are completely alone. Mm-hmm. And you're making your way down. All of you are in a point where you're going down a kind of an incline or decline, I suppose. None of you, obviously, I think both Giles and Helidir, you know well enough to, if you are stalking a troll, to not be calling out in this fog to try and say where you are, particularly without the support of your allies. Just as you're about to feel a little bit of panic take over, Giles, you feel this little, something hits your side, and you spin around, and there's the little Brandabras. He's looking up at you, and he says, "This way, this way." So you follow along, and Helidir, as well, when you're not going to panic, but your mind is reeling, you know, like this is closer to the shadow than you have perhaps ever found yourself in your long life, right?
Well, and I know that my greatest advantage is to be at range if I run into something, and if I'm in the midst of the fog, I'm not going to have a chance to do that.
Yeah. And then somehow, out of the fog, you can feel, boom, someone hits you. All right, Mr. Elf. And you look down, and it's Brandabras. He's found you. And then out of the fog, also falling right behind him, is Giles. Brandabras, you're easily able to track these guys down. And in fact, you also know where Tomas is. So you collect your two colleagues. You guys follow after Brandabras. And, you know, while neither of you can see anything, you know, if that makes any sense here, Brandabras seems to somehow know precisely, you know, where he's going. And you're able to find Tomas as well, too, who is near panic when you come across him. He's got his little sword out, and he's kind of like, you know, looking one way, looking the other way, or I guess it'll be a dagger of some kind. But then you get yourself there. Giles, you're about to light the pipe. Heldir, what do you think of having something so clearly, you know, a olfactory or sense, like such a strong smell as pipeweed being so close?
Yeah, not a great idea. I know that the trolls, they have like a lot of animals, right, and strong sense of smell.
Yeah. So
despite the fact that you think that them being stinky and all of that would make that hard to do for them, but they are they're good at sensing things.
Giles was thinking that the fog was going to hide the smoke, and so now he's kind of he looks down, he puts the pipe away, and he's sort of what's the word? He's you know, not quite as strong as crushed, but he's like, oh, you know, where's his ranger skills when he needs them? Oh.
Love it. All right. So when the four of you all sort of, you know, meet back up again, it's at the very base of this this decline, and you find that you are at the base of where I guess two of these mounds meet up, and through the fog, which fades just a bit, and Heldir and Giles, you can both feel a fell influence in this fog. There is a black opening at the base of one of these hills. A cave. The path that you have been following leads here. It is about maybe maybe 100 to maybe 150 yards away, relatively close shot, and it's almost as if the fog is clearing to reveal this path in here. You guys can hear something else as well. It's this strange piping, like a crudely made flute or tube, and it's coming from a couple of different directions. And as the fog clears, you can see one of them to your right. And it's not a constant sound, it's only as the breeze blows through. What you can see very close is a stack of bones and skulls, teetering, and near the size, certainly taller than a hobbit, but not quite as tall as a man. The sound you're hearing is the wind blowing through these bones. And from some holes that have been poked in the skulls that remain, you might guess that this was intentionally set up. And as the fog clears a little more, you can see that there are piles on either side of this small gully leading up to the cave, where the tallest piles stand. What do you guys do?
Giles says, I think we've arrived, and I think I should go take a look at those piles. He looks a little eager, maybe too eager.
Okay.
So Helidir definitely pulls his bow out, because if Giles' comfort is his pipe, Helidir's comfort is his bow, and he's got an arrow nocked, and he's just, kind of staring around back and forth, trying to see, because he's worried that we're about to get ambushed or that something is about to pop out of the cave. And,
okay. So you guys are currently about 150 yards away from this. Would you like to move closer? The cave itself is, the entrance is clear, but the area around it is still shrouded in some mist.
Giles has every intention of creeping up there.
Okay. It seems that Tomas is quite eager as well. So when you start making your way forward, he is likewise going to do the same. Would you kindly, Giles, give me a stealth check, and that's going to be against a 16, please.
What's my impression is, so if I notice that Tomas is going to suddenly join me.
Yep.
What's my impression of his agileness?
Give me an insight check, please, against a TN of 14. Let's see what you can judge. What's your stealth anyway?
2.
Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, you're... All right, Giles.
But my insight of Tomas is poor.
Yeah, it's tough to judge,
Yeah.
Probably because you're focusing on the surroundings more so than on him, right?
Yeah, I was going to counsel him to stay with my comrades, but given that role, I'm going to say, oh, good.
Yeah.
Let's both stealth up there.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and give me a stealth check, please?
What's my TN?
16. 1-6.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That I will, let's see. Well, I've got a 3 in wits, so it's just enough.
Okay.
I'm spending a hope.
Okay. So you begin cautiously making your way forward, and you seem to be... Helidir, Giles seems remarkably apt at this, at stalking. He makes it near, almost no noise. In comparison, you can see that Tomas is, there are stones being, lodged loose from each step, and there's little kind of trails of scree that go down that seem thunderously loud in the quiet of this gully. Now, Giles, you're able to get far enough forward where more of the entrance to the cave is revealed.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can see is there is an enormous form outside, much bigger than the piles of bones. And you're able to sneak in close enough where you can see that sitting on a seat of stone at the entrance to the cave, breathing in and out, with a skin of wine and about half of a roast goat to its side, is an enormous troll. And the troll looks... Where is it here? Did I not make that handout? Hold on. Looks like this, guys.
Not exactly the welcome wagon.
No. But it is asleep. That massive club sits next to its thing, and...
Giles is going to look back, assuming he can still see his comrades.
You look back and you can see your comrades. Yeah, you're sort of equidistant between the two. Shit. Unfortunately, when you look back, you can see Tomas has snuck his way up, and he's trying to make his way. He's right near the entrance to the cave now. He seems to have seen the troll as well, too, and it seems as if he thinks that he is sleeping and that he's unaware. He's not even sparing to look back at you. He seems to be focusing his attention on the troll. Now, Giles, you're close enough to be able to get a good enough read on the situation. You can give me either an insight or an awareness check, please, whichever you'd prefer. TN of 14. With a great success. Excellent.
Nice.
So, if you don't have a second dot ticked in your perception roll, you can do that now.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. Okay, so what you can tell is as this troll is sitting there, you very subtly see one of those red eyes open up. And that big red eye turns and fixes on the approaching boy. This troll is playing possum. Now, looking from where Tomas is, and you're able to look back, you guys can see where Giles is. You cannot see really clearly where Tomas has gone. He's been lost in the fog, still clinging to the sides of this gully. What do you do, Giles? You seem to be the one who is most aware of what's going on.
And is it my impression that the troll sees Tomas?
Definitely.
I'm going to look back at, and you said I can see my comrades.
Yep.
I'm going to look back and gesture with my weapon to have them brace for an engagement.
Okay. So, what motion do you think you make here?
I think I use I'm going to have my axe in my hand.
Okay.
And they can see me take my shield off my back.
Okay.
So clearly I'm getting ready for battle.
All right. So Brandabras, you and Haladir, you see this. What do you guys do?
I draw my short sword and my buckler and I scuttle forward.
Okay.
Stealthily.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth roll, and then Haladir, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna creep up probably about the same
point where Giles is? Okay. So it's a TN 16 for both of you, please.
Oh. That was rubbish rolling.
Ooh. Okay. So you seem to be making a little bit of sound as well, Mr. Took. Giles, you've got your shield out and you've got your axe, and you hear a sound from behind you, and you spare a look back, and you realize that Haladir is pretty much next to you, and Brandabras is sort of, doing his very best to make not a lot of sound, but he's knocked over. He's let some stones go down that sound quite loud, rattle, 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 rattle. But that's not as loud as what comes from the other side. And you all have an opportunity, having scuttled up to see this. Tomas is nearly inside the cave when he hits one of those piles of stone, of skulls, which come clattering down onto him. And fast as a snake, the troll is out of the thing and onto him. And he grabs him. Tomas, to his credit, cries out, "Give me my uncle's map!" And the troll kind of,
"Why, if thou craves thy uncle as much, surely you should find him."
And he grabs him by his arms and by his legs, and he pulls him to his taut width, and then twists. You guys hear a horrible breaking sound that echoes up and down this grim valley, and you each gain 2 shadow points. And then almost as a further taunt towards you, he looks over square at you, Brandebras. He actually doesn't see Helidir or Giles. And he tosses this broken lad towards you, Brandebras, such that it lands about halfway between the two of you guys. And you hear his ugly laughter as he makes his way into the cave. Again, faster than you could expect something so big and ponderous to move. So, guys, you can hear limp sobs coming from Tomas's broken body. Horribly, he survived this. What do you guys do?
Giles is charging with a cry.
Okay. Yeah!
You can't do that! I'm a man of Bree! And I go charging in, axe raised
Love
above
it.
my head.
Okay.
And, go ahead.
So yeah, as soon as Giles starts charging, Helidir is going to start loosing some arrows.
Okay. Awesome. All right, so let's do this. Let's transition into a tactical phase here. Let me... so here's what we're going to do, guys. Is that combat in the One Ring is abstracted. Actually, this is no longer this stuff. Let's do something a little more up-tempo. I think we were using... Nope, we were using this one here.
And Kevin, let me mention, Bree Blood gives me advantages, just so we're aware. I'm not sure if it's come into play on that last shadow situation or not, but it gives me advantages and disadvantages for fear and corruption.
Okay, what does it say? What does it read?
Let's see. When the men of Bree are required to make a fear test provoked by the special ability of an adversary, the difficulty of the roll is raised by 1 level. Conversely, when they must make a corruption test for any reason, the difficulty is reduced by 2 levels.
Yeah, for this one, unfortunately, it just what it is because of if you guys had taken any action to try and stop him from going in there,
Yes.
that would have, this is a kid, some kid trying to sneak his way past an enormous troll.
Yep.
That's where the shadow is coming from. So it's not a corruption test.
Yeah, it's all good. I just wanted to mention it in case
Sure.
I didn't want to miss anything.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's good to try and take advantage of it.
Yep.
All right. So then, like I said, the way that this game is set up is it's abstracted. Now, I will let... how many opening volleys? Normally it's 1 opening volley, right? But you're, as a wood elf, you get 2?
Because of my my reward of a woodland bow allows me to make 1 additional opening volley.
Okay, and then do wood elves get a second one as well?
Wood elves don't naturally get a second one.
It's only the bow.
Listed in the rules is that bows get 2 and
That's
throwing
what I'm thinking
spears
of.
and stuff get 1.
So I will let you unleash 3 shots as this thing is trying to retreat in, and then you guys will have to get into actual combat.
yeah,
Because you'll
all right.
be able to react faster. So let's see here. The difficulty is what? It's 12?
It's 12 plus his parry.
Plus his parry. Okay. So that'll be 18 to try and hit the troll. Nice, with a great
Look at
success
that.
too. Is that a wounding shot too?
That is a wounding shot too.
What makes it a wounding shot?
Because
Is
his
the D12 roll, the
Yeah.
feat die, is
Yeah.
a 10.
the feat
which is the
dice
same as
is
his
what you
edge.
look at and you compare it to the edge of your weapon. If it is a success, then what I have to roll is number of dice plus its armor. What is the wounding rate for your bow?
So the injury is only 14. So it's a
14.
T and 14 test.
Okay. And yeah, he succeeds.
Yep.
I rolled
But
out-
I do 10.
I rolled Eye of Sauron on the...
Yeah. But I do 10 points of endurance damage because I did a great success.
Excellent. Okay, so
Nice.
this hits. All right, let me... I'm going to put a token down on here for us so you guys can kind of judge how injured this thing is getting.
So the great success doubles the damage? Is that how it works?
No, great success. So on a normal success, you do the weapons damage.
Mm-hmm.
On a great success, you do the weapons damage plus your personal damage rating. And on an extraordinary success, you do the weapons damage plus your personal damage rating twice.
Interesting.
And all of that is to endurance. So that's not like
Yeah.
actually wounding. That's like, forcing them to duck out of the way.
Gotcha.
or bruising them or something like that.
Okay. Okay, so you hit this thing as it's going out. That was only your first shot. Go ahead and give me a second shot. That is a miss.
Nope.
Third. Okay, and it maybe hits its thick hide, but it doesn't do anything.
Well, I could spend a point of hope to turn that into a success.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to do that because that would be a great success. So I would do 10 more points of endurance.
Nice. Okay. So thanks to your keen, elven archery, you sink 2 solid shots as this thing kind of... It clearly... and it didn't even see you, too, so it doesn't know. It doesn't even know that you were where these are coming from. But then it gets into the cave. So now what we do, guys, is each of you tells me, and put your token on the chart as well, for how relative you are, how relatively you're going to be engaging this thing. What that will do is it'll set your the difficulty for your target number. I'll make the tokens a little smaller too, so it's easier to fit them in just one. There we go, and I will set the tokens to be overlapping. There you go. So that's easier. Were you intending to be forward?
Yes.
Okay. And Haladir. So you need to have at least, 2 things ahead of you?
2 companions in melee for every 1 companion in rearward.
Yeah.
And rearward is the only stance you can be in to use ranged weapons. So it makes sense for me to be in rearward if you guys want to be in melee.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, the other thing that your combat or your stance dictates is the special ability that you can use. So in, rearward, obviously you can use your archery, you can use bows, or slings or spears or whatever. If you're in the forward stance, you also have an action to intimidate foe, which is just to drive down the meta resource they have, which is called hate, and that will drive them. It reflects how much will to fight and how much it's just like your hope. They have hate instead. So that's what intimidate foe does. That's only in the forward stance. The open stance, you can rally comrades, which is to help them gain back some endurance. So to make it so they're not wearied any longer, or bring them further away from being weary. And the final one is the defensive stance, where you can spend a point of hope to try and protect an ally. And when they become targeted by an attack, the target instead targets you and uses the target number from your stance, from 12 plus parry, as opposed to whatever stance the other targets are in.
So forward and open are both melee positions?
All 3.
Forward and open and defensive are all melee.
They're all melee.
They just represent how you're behaving in melee.
It's just defensive is really like you're focused more on keeping yourself safe than you are the other, and it's really apart from the target number, the thing is what you want to be doing, right? Like in forward stance, you can drive down the hate, and that's a strategy if this thing's got a big bucket of big bucket of endurance, like say this thing does. Sometimes it's helpful to drive down that hate so it cannot keep using some, its badass special abilities.
I think Giles' cry is more likely to be for rallying his comrades.
Okay.
So I've gone to open instead.
Okay. And then what about Brandabras? Where do you think you want to go?
I think I will go.
If you guys have
defensive.
suggestions for James too, you can feel free to share your thoughts on that.
So defensive, one of the cool things you do that Kevin did a fair bit during our game is that you can use the defend companion action and basically force an enemy attack to target you. And because you're harder to hit in defensive, that makes it a chance to turn a hit into a miss, essentially.
Yeah. Also, the hobbits, like your parry rating is pretty high, so it's a pretty hard target number to hit.
Yep.
And I've got my good armor, so I'll go defensive.
Okay.
And I'll say that, Mr. Troll, you leave my companions alone.
Nice. All right. I'm just checking here. Sorry, they've got some special abilities as well, too, that I should have looked at beforehand, guys. Sorry, I was more focused on the adventure than I was the... Oh, love it. Okay, so we are ready. All right, so this thing then, it has to go to the what? Yeah, it has to go to the first target, right? I go from front row back.
There's two different rules, and it's based on who outnumbers who. I think it engages all melee targets if it is outnumbered.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me see here. You know, I'll and there's also you guys are. It is on the defense, which means it has initiative, because you're going into its cave, which means that it gets to normally that's how you judge who goes first is whether you're the attacker or whether you're the defender. The defender normally the heroes are being set upon by their enemies, but this clever thing has forced you to come into its cave.
Yep.
So, let me see here. Sorry, guys. Should have refreshed my memory on this. Oh, does it have a... No, it doesn't have any range attacks, so you guys are lucky there.
Well, except for throwing dead bodies around.
Yeah. Well, not dead. He's Tomas is not dead.
Not quite dead bodies around.
I'm not dead yet. The mostly grievously wounded. Okay, so... yeah, my Lore Master turn is first, and... okay, more heroes than enemies. Okay, so I guess I can pair it with anybody. I don't have to go in the forward stance. It's just relative to who you're with. Up to maximum 3 companions may engage a human-sized target. Up to 5 can engage a larger one, like a troll. So I pick one among the close combat stances that I engage. But I think with Giles being the first one forward, I agree that he would be the one he would engage with. So Giles comes running in, and this thing gets its first attack. So...
we are also supposed to roll battle for our success die.
Yes, you are. So go ahead and roll battle. Thank you. Against a TN 14. Each success you roll will grant you 1 dice you can use.
Ha.
Nice.
Gandalf rune and a great success. Hell
Great
yeah.
big success.
Wow. Yeah. So 2 dice for you. No dice for Brandabras.
Yeah, Giles doesn't need dice. He's screaming. He's ready. He's swinging.
Okay. So, the first thing... so then you guys have those dice. This troll is going to attack you guys. So, or is going to attack Giles. Now, Brandabras, if you want to spend a point of hope, it will instead target you. But it's your choice. Your target number will be... You each have your shield up, it sounds like, so you can include... Or your shield only benefits you for... Or no, it doesn't benefit your
shield benefits you normally in this. It benefits you double during the opening volleys.
Oh, okay, got it. So then your total parry rating will be your parry plus whatever your shield bonus is.
Are you talking to me, Kevin?
I'm talking to both of you guys. Both of you guys have shields. So
well, you know, I'd misspoken on the shield, so I'm just going to say that for in Giles's case, it's homemade. It doesn't really have any real protective value.
Oh, okay,
it just has the symbol of Bree on it.
Okay, got it. Does... Oh my goodness. Does Brandabras try to interpose here or not?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, then Giles, this thing, you almost like get right into the cave, and suddenly this thing's like,
come in my home, will you?
And he's gonna try and hit you. What is your parry rating right now?
Parry is 3.
Is 3? Oh boy. Okay, so then target number hit you is a 12.
Okay.
And I did not get a great success, but I did get a success. However, I can spend a point of hate and transform that into a great success because of his ability. So what happens is this, he comes out of nowhere, and it's a remarkably, it would be in the hands of anyone else like a short sword. But this thing comes out and slams into you. He doesn't actually hit you because you don't suffer, it didn't roll high enough to trigger a potential wound. But you suffer 12 endurance.
Oof, that's trouble.
That's trouble.
All right.
So does that make you weary?
So reduce my endurance by 12.
Yeah, no, no. So what you do is just click on your token, reduce that down, because your red is your token.
Yep.
So we hit minus 12. Boom. Where are you now? Are you below your fatigue level?
It's equal to.
Equal to. Okay, I think, is it below or equal to, Arlen? It's below, isn't it?
I think it's below.
We'll say below.
That's the way I would play it.
Yeah, okay. So this thing hits you hard. Oh, and you're thrown back. So now we start in the opening stance. That's you, Giles. What are you doing? Now, if you want to try and hit this thing, what you're going to do is use your... the target number will be... Let's see, where is it? Parry... The target number will be a 15. And you would be using your axe. If what you want to do is attack.
Oh, axe. Definitely axe.
Okay, go ahead, Giles. Target number 15.
All right.
And there were 2 arrows sticking out of its shoulder.
Yes. Hang on. 0. Oh, yes. Axe. 15.
You can spend hope if you want, but... and then you would add your body to that. And if it's underlined, you get to add your favored body.
If the axe is under... I see, yes. Let me see here. Yes. It is... the axe is underlined, so it is favored. I have a 6 favored, so I would get a 16, so I will spend the hope.
Okay, then what is the damage of the axe?
Damage of the axe is 5.
5, okay. So you swing this axe around, and you try to get a good hit on this thing, but whoa, shit. Wrong thing. There we go. It is at most like a glancing blow on its forearm.
Kind of you gotta hit harder than that. It's just a scratch, little guy.
Next up is Brandebras. What are you doing?
I will jump forward and stab him with my short sword.
All right. So his parry is a 6, which means your target number is an 18 in the defensive stance.
Oh, that'll be easy.
Let's go ahead. So that, I think, even with your... well, I don't know. Is your favored body a 9?
No.
No, okay. So you try to get in, but this thing is swooping. It's that you know, it's swooping around with that what do you call it? Or maybe it's just that in the fracas of Giles and the troll, you're just not able to get a good enough shot in because you're keeping at a distance to try and not leave yourself open for any harm. Helidir, your turn. What are you doing?
So what I'm going to do is prepare a shot. So I've got the bow, I'm ready, I'm just waiting for the perfect shot. And so what prepare shot does is that if I hit with a regular hit, it automatically does a piercing blow next round, but I can't shoot this round.
Okay, excellent. Then we go on to next round. Now you guys can change your stances. If you're engaged, can you still change your stance?
Yeah, because it's about how you're behaving,
relatively,
not like your
right.
position. Yeah.
So is anyone changing their stance? Or are you guys comfortable with where you are?
I'll stay where I am.
Okay. Giles?
Yeah, he'll stay where he is.
Okay. So then... the troll once again, kind of, goes, or kind of lurches back and forth at you. Brandebras, it's attacking Giles again. Do you want to defend?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'll say, you ugly troll, you get back there, huh?
Okay. So he looks down at you.
Oh, you're a scrumptious little bite. I'm gonna eat you right up in one bite.
And he swings that big sword at you. Now, your parry is what with the shield bonus?
6.
6 in total?
Yep.
Nice, so it's an 18 to try and hit you. Let's see what he gets here. He does not. So he swings at you.
Get back here, you little grunt. That's not fair. Stand still.
So he seems to not be paying attention to you, Giles. He tries to get at Brandebras. Giles, you're up next. What are you doing?
And let me mention, I have armor of 2. Does that
Armor only comes in on wounding.
Got it. Okay. He's going to take another swing with his axe.
Okay. So again, it's a target number 15 again.
Okay.
Whoa!
There we go.
Nice. And it's a great success. So your melee damage, you get to add that to your axe. What is your... It says
Tell me again.
So it should say damage on there, and then below that is ranged. It's on the right side near the bottom underneath your skills.
Let's see. So axe damage is 5, and then edge, you said?
No. It's not in the weapon thing.
Sorry.
It is on... hold on here.
It's combat values on the right side, to
go.
the right of the weapon skills. It says damage, parry, armor.
Yep.
What does it say under damage?
3.
Under damage 3.
Okay. Okay, so you get to add 3, so that means you do 8 in total to this thing.
Okay.
So you, I think what you do, there's not a huge amount. You swing your axe and you kind of, clip one of its hands, and it kind of,
Ooh, that stings! You got a dirty one, you.
and Brandabrass, I think that was, does that count as Brandabrass's action, or is that just because he's spending hope?
May attack as well, yes. So
Yep,
it's
go
not
ahead.
counting as his action.
Brandabrass, go ahead and make your attack. Or whatever you're going to do.
Yep.
Okay.
It's 18 again.
Okay. Oh, and make sure you count your hope down by 1 as well.
Yep, done that. So it's an 18 again, right?
It is, yeah.
No.
Boy, your hope's 19. Jeez.
Swing and a miss.
All right. So yeah, you're again not able to get a clear shot. Helidir.
All right, taking my prepared shot.
There you go. So your target number is a 18.
Okay, but I can spend a point of hope to make that a success.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend my point of hope.
Yep.
So that does 10 points of endurance.
Okay.
Plus it counts as an injury threat.
Okay.
Because I spent the turn preparing shots.
And it's 14, right?
14.
Unfortunately, that's a big ass
Yeah,
troll.
I figured.
Yeah,
it
hits again.
It's pretty tough. So
You, I'm gonna get you, elf. You taste most nice of all.
And okay, so that is the end of the round. Top of the round, he's going to spend first off a point of hate, and kind of,
That's how it's gonna be then.
and I'll make sure I mark his hate down. And then he's going to attack Giles again. He's the one who hit him. Brandabrass, do you want to?
I'll do it one more time.
Okay. So now he's. What do you say to draw his attention? He's about to hit Giles because he hit him in the hand with that axe.
You're a clumsy bugger, aren't you?
I'll show you, clumsy. Come here, you.
And let's see here.
I'm gonna skew you on my stick and eat you like a chicken.
That is 16, 17, 18, 19. That is a hit.
Ooh.
Okay, so then, and he's going to spend a point of hate on that as well. So you take, let's see here. No, it's not a wound at least, but you do take 12 points of damage.
Now, what does my lucky armor do for me then?
I think your lucky armor is only for wounds.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so just if you subtract 12 from your endurance, you should be able to do that in your token, and then you compare that to your current fatigue and tell me if you are weary or not.
I'm weary.
Okay, so then just go on the bottom of your character sheet and tick, there's an option of weary, not weary. If you click it to weary, it'll automatically roll the proper dice for you.
Okay.
So this, I think what happens is you do get your shield up and in the way, but it hits you and knocks you back, and you kind of... and you've had the wind knocked out of you. This thing hits harder than anything you've ever been hit with before. Giles, this thing just tried to skewer Master Took. What are you doing?
I'm attacking.
Okay.
Axe lifted high,
Yep.
more motivated than ever.
Okay.
Though voice is a little more quivering. 15?
15. You need only a 15.
Okay.
Oh yeah, right. You haven't rolled yet.
Yeah, over swings and a clean miss.
Okay, so he's just pretty quick. Brandebras, you're up next.
I will scrabble my way forward, spitting blood a bit,
Yep.
and try to stab at his leg.
Sounds good.
15. Whoops. Not 158.
Okay.
And I will use...
Why don't I give you one of my success die so you can roll an extra d6? So if you roll at least a 4, that'll be a success.
Yeah.
So
So what do we see?
So we see Helidir shout, "Not that way! Hit him in the other leg!"
Whoops.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice, a great success.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So then that is, what's the damage of your sword?
it's a 5.
A 5, and then what is your damage score?
2.
2, so 7 points of damage to it. And you stick it right in the foot, and he goes, "Ooh! That's not fair at all!"
Is a 10 your edge, or is it a Gandalf? Because you rolled a 10 on the feat die.
Oh yeah, what is the edge of your short sword?
10.
Nice.
Nice, okay, well then what is the wounded value? Or the injury value?
Injury value is 14.
14 as well, okay? So let's see here. 3, what is that, 9, 12. Yeah, okay, so it's not a wound, but it is skewered. And let's see here. So I'm just trying to see something here. Okay. Oh, you know what it's going to do? All right. Yeah, that was a great hit. Helidir, what are you doing?
I'm just going to take another shot.
Okay.
At 18. That's a 10. I'm not going to spend any hope or anything, so that's just a miss.
Okay, so you fire and miss. All right, end of the round. It is the troll's turn again.
Well, wait, we get to change stances if we want to.
Yep.
And Helidir is going to drop his bow, pull out his sword, and rush in because he's got an idea. So
Okay.
I'm going to run into forward stance.
Okay. All right, so this thing is up first. I think it's... The last one to hurt it is Brandebras, but you're pretty tricky. I think it makes sense for him to try and hurt you again, Brandebras. Even though the other ones are easier to hit, he's really interested in taking you down. So your current parry is a 6, so you're an 18 to hit you. Let's see. Yeah, he hits with an extraordinary success.
Ooh.
Oh, so that is 5. That's 19 endurance damage.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll take me to -8.
Okay, now.
So that just knocks you unconscious. That doesn't... You're not dying or dead. Or
Okay, so you are unconscious,
I'm gonna eat him first.
says the troll. Next up is Helidir. What are you doing?
So I am going to try to intimidate foe with my battle skill.
Yep.
So that's his... let me double check. It's based on his attribute rating is the difficulty.
Okay.
It's 10 plus his attribute.
17.
17. Okay. Well, so I'm going to roll battle.
Okay. What do you say?
17?
Yeah.
I say, back to the shadow, creature of darkness. And then
Love it.
I'm going to use my extra die, because I still have one.
Yep.
And
Here we go. There's your 17.
17,
Nice.
and it's a great success, which means he loses 3 points of hate.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, he is, and that's your action, right?
That's my whole action.
Yeah. Okay. So
Because I don't have the special Dunedain
the
thing.
glory of, and I guess you say it in Sindarin probably as well too.
Ooh, don't talk that language.
You. It's maybe not clear with how hideous and whatever this thing is, but it's definitely been shaken. Giles, you're up next.
I see it react to Helidir's charge, and I try to strike swift and fast.
Okay.
15 again?
15 again. Yes.
There we go.
Nice. Excellent. Another 5 points of damage to him.
Yep.
All right. So you clip him in the back. And,
You behind there.
all right. Then it is. So Brandebrass is unconscious. Top of the round, we got our troll again. The troll seems to have collected himself, and he kind of.
You don't scare me, Mr. Elf. Not so clever without your bow, are ya?
And he's going to try and skewer you with his little knife. What is your
Yep.
parry?
Parry is 5.
It's 5.
So I'm
Okay.
11 to hit.
Okay. Go. Oh, okay. So I have a great success on a hit, and you may be injured. Injury rating is 14.
Injury rating is 14. Okay, so we should do the endurance first, because if that takes me to
12.
too low. Okay, so that's only 12.
Yep.
You're
not weary?
I am just barely not weary.
Awesome. Okay.
So my injury rating is still injury 14.
Okay.
But he fucking stabs me.
Okay. So he gets. Fortunately, it is just a normal-sized weapon. So it kind of. Where do you think it cuts you or stabs you?
Oh, I think he gets me. Well, I've got my sword in my right hand, but he gets me in the left arm. And kind of you can see the sort of outside of, because the corselet, I'm imagining the leather thing is like a vest covering my like center mass.
Yeah.
But it cuts into my arm and I'm bleeding out now.
So the way that wounded works, James, is that you're wounded. There's a narrative kind of mechanic to it, but it doesn't do anything unless you fall unconscious, in which case you start dying, or if you take a second wound, then you fall down and are dying.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I think if you take a second wound, you don't fall down. You're just dead.
Are you dead?
You're dead if you take a second wound.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, that was his action. We go to Haldir. What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to give as good as I got and slash him back.
Okay.
So it's 6 plus his parry, which is 6, so 12.
Yep.
And that's not good enough.
Okay. Now, one sec here. I want to check one thing. Sorry, I just needed. I've got something in my mind that I think is something, and I want to make sure that I'm not wrong about it. Okay. Love it. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Sorry. So yeah, you're still fighting in forward.
I have to, because it's not top of the round is when I can change again.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yep.
Giles, what are you doing?
Giles is swinging away.
Okay.
Okay.
So what you can also do as you can rally comrades. Now, does rally comrades give endurance back to unconscious allies as well, or unconscious allies just out?
It says all fighting companions.
Okay, so yeah, you're.
So I don't think it counts as unconscious allies.
Okay.
I'm fighting in spirit.
You absolutely are. All right. So.
The rules don't think you're fighting, but we do.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So then, Giles. Giles, it is a TN 15 again.
Okay. All right. Let's see. There we go.
Yay!
Nice. Good hit, and that's potentially wounding too. Somebody roll his armor.
What makes it wounding?
He's not wounded, but it was a potential one because your edge is a 10, right?
My edge is a 12.
Oh, 12 with an axe. Shoot. But never mind.
Yep.
Well, you would have the armor would have been enough anyway. Okay, so you hit this thing, and he takes 5 more damage.
Cut that out, you! You're gonna pay for that!
All right.
Chipping away.
And
Chipping away on you.
it is, okay, then I guess end of the round, top of the round. Anyone changing stances?
I'm gonna step back into open.
Okay. And then it is the troll's turn. Troll is, because you did not hit him, right, Helidir?
No, I did not hit him.
Okay, so then it'll be against Giles again. He,
1 down, 3 to go.
that is not going to hit, I don't think, though. That's a 14 in total, so...
Ooh,
Or does that
my
hit?
parry's 3.
12. Shit, then you do get hit.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not real dodgy.
Okay, so you take... This, however, was not a great success. You only take 5 points of damage.
Okay, so I'm weird. I've got 10 endurance versus.
Here's how hate works as well. What I will tell you when this thing is out of hate, and when it's out of hate, it becomes weary. So that is the reason where Intimidate Foe is a really helpful thing, because if you can blow that, that means its chances of hitting go down substantially. All right, so then it's you guys. Who wants to go first, Helidir or Giles?
I'll try to return the favor.
Okay.
Takes a cut. Well, so if I was going to try to intimidate him, what are my options?
Oh, you're make sure you set your character sheet to weary now too, because I think you're below.
I did.
Oh, did you? Okay, great.
Yep.
It's still 15 to hit him.
Yeah, I'll just swing away. There we go.
Go.
Wow.
Okay.
His weariness really took it out of him.
So here's what happens: is
Well, that's what it officially kicks in when you're weary.
not when you're weary, you ignore a 1, 2, or 3 on the d6s.
Okay.
Yep.
However, he's got an ability as well too.
Yep.
You're fighting with him, and then you shift, and you don't realize there's this giant pile of bones next to him that fall, and you and you collapse on you. He now has 2 bonus dice to use against you.
Okay.
Okay. Helidir.
All right, I'm gonna swing again. 15. Oh.
Oh.
You
I'm
spend
gonna
no?
spend my hope because that's gonna be an edge. So
Okay.
I want to make him make another test.
Your sword has an edge of 10.
Sword has an edge of 10.
Okay. Let's see here.
And it's 16 for injury this time.
16 for injury. What's 5? He actually fails.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so you return the favor. Your elven steel cuts deep into him.
You!
All right. Then it is, that's the
Oh,
end
and he
of the
also
round.
takes 5 endurance loss.
Also takes 5 endurance loss, okay? That is the end of his turn. Top of the round. Anyone
Back
changing
into
stances?
forward.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to intimidate him one more time.
Well, before you do that,
Yeah, he gets to go.
nope. He's out of hate.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well then,
You see,
I will stay in open.
he's breathing heavily. Now, he is going to still attack Giles because he's got those 2 bonus dice. So he surges forward, Giles, trying to take advantage of this pile of things that have fallen down on you. I think, Helidir, you're the only one not weary right now, right?
I am not weary.
Okay,
No.
so he tries to hit you again, Giles. So I have to ignore that. In spite of being weary, I still get a great success. Sorry, I still get an extraordinary success, actually, because I got 2 6s. That means you take 14 damage.
Ow.
Have
19. Forgive me, 19.
Yeah, he is. He's taking a dirt nap.
Okay, so you feel this all kind of collapse on top of you, and he surges forward and wham, hammers you. Doesn't only with the blunt side of the blade, but it's enough of his forearm hitting you, throws you against the cave wall, and you collapse down unconscious. Helidir, you are the last hero standing against this creature of the shadow. What are you doing? Lives another day. I live forever.
No, I'm proud. I would rather die than sully the name of the Mirkwood Elves. So
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna keep fighting. Desperate though our straits are, and I'm not gonna do it like that.
Oh no. Okay. Then it is the end of the round. This thing turns towards you. It says,
2 down, 1 to go. Best for
So-
last.
I'm gonna move into defensive since I'm the last one left,
Okay.
and
all right. So then it gets to go first, and it kind of, you see it stalking around the cave trying to get at you.
You got nowhere to go, little elf. I'm gonna eat you all up, put you all in a stew. A little bit of hobbit, a little bit of man, and a seasoning of elf.
And he leaps forward at you. And what is your parry's a 6, right?
Parry is 5.
5.
So I'm
okay,
17.
so
to hit.
17. That is actually not enough. So he surges in and stabs at you. And what do we see as you deke out of the way?
Oh, I just sort of dance backwards with my kind of eerie elven agility.
Okay. And you hear the crunching of bones underneath you too. Clearly, he's been lurking here for some time. Your turn. What are you doing?
All right, so it says 18 to hit him. Now?
It is currently
Yes.
an 18 to hit him. That's right.
Not gonna do it like that.
Okay. So that is the end of the turn. Top of the round, he kind of staggers forward.
I think you're getting tired, elf. Yeah.
And he leaps at you. That is... you take 5 more. It's not a great success, but it is a success. Wait, hold on. 8, 13, 16. 16 does not hit you, does it?
16 does not hit me.
Nope, then he misses. Never mind. Again,
You're so tricky.
go ahead and make your attack.
18.
Okay.
Okay, but then I can spend my favored body. Oh, no, not my favorite. No, it's my regular body. Fuck. I can't. Okay, never mind.
So it's 18 to hit him. That's right.
Yep.
Now, hold on. One sec.
You were thinking of your bow, Harlan?
I was thinking of my bow because my bow is a favored weapon and I've got a
Yeah,
big body score, but with my sword, I can't do it.
Hold on. So here's one thing that I found in these situations is that because it's just swing, that's where a game that is otherwise really tactical, I feel kind of falls down a bit.
Mechanically, I'll just tell you what I'm doing is basically trying to roll a Gandalf rune on the D12.
And this is what I felt when we fought the Ring Wraith. The lead up to the fight with the Ring Wraith was awesome. The actual roll, I'm like, we're just fucking Flintstones boxing here.
Yep.
You know. But in the what do you call it? In the adventures,
And that was, to be clear, that was also after I made some changes. It would have been worse rules as written with the Ring Wraith.
Oh
fight.
yeah, well, it's Ring
which
Wraith,
is-
so
Yeah.
so
No. I mean, like, you're even less able to do anything to him in the rules as written.
That's what I
It's
took your meaning to
ridiculous.
be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that it would have been a nastier fight, although it was pretty nasty anyway.
Okay, so there are optional rules or additional rules for called shots in the One Ring.
Yes,
Adventure
called
of Japan.
shots. Called shots are actually in the main rules.
No, but the expanded rules for them that allows you to do more things. So, like, you could hold because there's certain ones that are called shots are sort of like the ways that they make each type of weapon special. But in addition to that, in the Adventurer's Companion, they expand it out, so there's other things you can do. So you could do, like, holding back, which is if the call shot's successful, an adversary hit by a piercing blow is considered to automatically pass the protection test. What is this here? Companions fighting in close who do not wish to wound or kill their opponents. Okay, that's not the case here. Pummeling attack. If the called shot is successful, the consequences of the attack are resolved normally, and the adversary is additionally considered to be severely hindered in attacks, meaning +4 to all target numbers. So that's an option, to unbalance it, to make it harder for him to hit. If what you're waiting for is a Gandalf rune anyway, that might be an additional benefit, is that it makes it harder for him to hit you. Savage Blow. If you're successful, you inflict additional loss of endurance equal to the close combat damage rating. So it's an automatic great success plus whatever extra ones you do. That's Savage Blow. The last one is Swift Strokes. That's hitting more than one opponent. So Savage Blow or Holding Back are your options. So what you need to do is succeed and do a great success in order to trigger it. So and if you fail, then you just don't hit at all.
Yeah, so that seems like might as well, because I basically have to get a great success to even hit.
Sure.
Because I need those 6 points.
So do those two make sense?
Yes.
We have to explain them? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then do you wish to do either of those? Do you wish to try with a pummeling attack to make him throw him off balance, or a savage blow to try and do an extra worth of damage on your hit?
I think I'm going to do a savage blow.
Nice. Okay. So he made his attack. He missed. Your attack. What are you doing?
All right, so it's a TN 18 for a savage blow. I need a great success for it to count at all.
Go.
But not going to do it.
Could you get at least a success on that? Is your body...
because it's a called shot, it wouldn't do anything.
It wouldn't, you're right. Okay, yep. So you've been trying to more carefully get your attack in there. It is unsuccessful. We are back on the other round. Changing stances or staying in defensive?
No, I'm going to stay in defensive.
Okay. So he kind of he leans up against the wall. He's been chasing you around. He's been trying to get you with this stab.
Come here. Come here, you little elf.
That is a 16. That's a 20. So that is a hit. It's not a great success. You take 5 more.
5 more puts me to weary.
Okay. Now, your turn. What are you doing?
All right, I am weary. I'm gonna do another attempted savage strike.
Here we go.
Oh no.
So this stuff you have backed into... Oh, it doesn't have hate to trigger this, though.
Oh.
It doesn't have hate left.
Nice.
So you hit one of those wobbly things, but you're able to dance out of the way, and it crashes down next to you.
Oh, no. Actually, because it was a called shot, the Eye of Sauron has an effect in the rules also.
Oh, what does it do?
So, if the roll result didn't match or beat the target number and the player got an Eye of Sauron icon, the companion fumbled, exposing himself. The next time he is attacked, the difficulty to hit the hero will be equal to the basic combat TN of his stance without his parry.
Oh, shit. Okay, so
he's going to smack me.
He's going to try and smack you. Let's see here.
I've got you now.
That is enough to hit, and it's a great success. That brings you down by 12.
Yep. So unlike my companions, because I got wounded earlier, I'm actually dying. Oh. Not that it matters, because we're all going to die when the troll eats us.
Right.
So as you collapse to the ground, he stalks on top of you. And let's, I think the fighty fight time is over here. And we'll crank up the dark times. And we see this troll, whoom, 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 lumber forward over the fallen and dying elf. He looks down and...
An elf, 2 men, and an hobbit. What do I eat first?
And he goes stalking out. First he says, he actually will staunch your wound, Haldir, so you're not going to die, because he wants to eat his meal fresh. So, all 3 companions are stored in the troll larder. And would you look at the time?
Perfect.
Dinner time, evidently.
It is dinner time. So as he goes out to collect the, leaving our fallen heroes in the troll cave, you can see hanging from this troll's waist is a map. Or at least a rolled up piece of paper or parchment. He goes stalking out.
Oh, quit your crying, little man. You'll be in me belly soon.
He says to the crying Tomas, and we'll leave our heroes there. So, nothing.
Well, I just want to say that even though this only lasted 2 episodes and ended in tragedy, Jackson will still make an 18-hour trilogy.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the guys, let's first before we launch into our outro too. So is there anything like this was the first time that we've really done a full for Sean? You played One Ring before with another group. We didn't really play through a full combat in our Shadows of Stirrings in Gondor or whatever I called it, Unsettled Oaths of
Untold
Gondor.
Oaths, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you've played, James. Is there, like, are there things that you would have done differently, strategically, like saving your battle dice for later, or, you know, anything like that? Or did this play, like, he's a tough encounter, anyway.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is I wonder if it would have, I mean, might have been a little different if we'd prevented Thomas from giving us away so quickly. Yep. So if we could have done something clever at the beginning to, you know, to chop down its resources initially.
Yeah.
A clever plan would have been helpful, rather than, you know, just, you know, combat ensues.
Well, and that was kind of, to be honest, like that's sort of what the adventure calls for too. Like it's not, I wanted to run it the way it was written to see what would, you know, what would happen. And the one thing I will say, because it retreated into the cave, it sucked because you guys were on the defensive from the get-go. But what helped there is that I wasn't able to use Thomas as a shield, which counts as a 4-point shield.
Oh.
So he would have been even harder to, hit, right?
I mean, it was Giles' intent to keep Tomas from going up there, but he just, you know, he rolled badly, and so it didn't make sense for that. So, you know, that happened.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a lot of hope left. It's a tough fight too.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
it's a tough fight, and it's also one of the big things is that with a lot of these big, powerful enemies, you kind of have to. I don't know that it's a flaw in the game, but you kind of have to know how to fight them. Like with the troll, you basically want to start with take down all its hate so that it is weary, so that then you can do piercing blows on it, so that you can actually wound it, so that then you can finish it off.
Well, and then so it's not hitting you as often.
And so it's not hitting you as often, which I didn't think about until we were about halfway through the fight, that Helidir should have said something about like, hey, this is how you actually fight one of these things.
Yeah.
I also, well, we talked about like the Flintstones boxing thing. I'm not mad about that. I actually think I kind of like the idea that as you get towards the end of a fight that your resources are dwindling and you just don't have. I kind of dislike a lot of games that are like, oh, well, I was saving my 1 day use power for this special moment, and that doesn't feel realistic to me.
No, but what I don't like is that it was one of the flaws of 4th edition D&D that if by the end of the fight all you're relying on is your at-wills, it robs what should be the most exciting part of the fight of any meaningful game decisions.
Yep.
You know, and I think that the called shots are a fun way of doing that, but you know, then does that mean that you save your battle dice, you know, whatever your things for right the end of the fight, so you can help push over that last little bit you need to take the enemy down?
Yep.
To some extent,
it
might be a result. Part of the contribution of that is your foes. Like, let's say, I'm recalling, I mean, I don't have much experience with the game, but I'm recalling that sometimes when you have, let's say you run into some goblins or something, and so there's 9 goblins, 3 are archers, 2 or something.
Yeah.
Well, then the positions come into play more, you know, so you have archers, and do you want to move positions and protect your, you know, there's more to do. So with a single foe, it does reduce it a little bit.
Well, your use of Brandebras's stuff was really great too, James. Like that's his. I love the idea of the Hobbit tank, the downside is he was rolling 4 dice and his feat dice on attacks, and I wasn't my dice weren't on fire the way they are sometimes, but I was rolling well enough, and with 4 dice.
That's a lot of dice.
You got a really good chance of getting at least a great success, where I'm adding 7 points of extra damage on top of the 5.
Right.
You know, so it's yeah.
Giles has no defense either, so he's just waiting to get smashed.
Smooshed. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's another. There's some interesting alternate rules that people have come up with over the life cycle of this game, and one of the big ones is that armor in the game as written, it doesn't really ever make sense to wear super heavy armor.
No.
And one of the things that people have said is like, well, sort of, except that maybe what you should do is have like armor reduces endurance loss in addition to the other stuff that it does. And that's actually one of the alternate rules, having played this, that I like. I like the idea that you could have a character who doesn't defend as well, kind of like Giles, but if he was wearing heavy armor, it'd be harder to get a big hit on him endurance wise.
Yeah,
'cause I always find that a bit odd in a game when the armor doesn't reduce damage. I mean, I've in fact spent most of the day working on a spreadsheet trying to figure out how to retrofit that in Bushido, the same thing, because the whole armor reduces the chance to hit thing. Yeah, I understand the logic, but it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, my favorite
feel thing.
Happy medium in that is the Ash rule, where you get a small amount of DR. So you got damage reduction of 1 with medium armor, damage reduction 2 with heavy armor. So it's not a huge. It doesn't convert the whole system over to being like GURPS or whatever, where you're reducing damage you're taking as well as the modifier to hit. But it gives you enough of a little flavor. So there's a reason to wear plate mail, you know, beyond the 2 or 3 points of AC bonus you get. It's interesting. I mean, I didn't feel that the combat. I liked the idea that there were some options I could do, but I didn't feel that combat in this is particularly satisfying when I played. And I'm not, and having run it too, like I'm not sure that this is incredibly satisfying either. I did have some interesting things I could do, but it feels like you're just sort of like everyone's using their big resources until everyone's weary. Either I've hit you guys enough to bring you down to weary, or I've used up all my hate, so we're weary, and then it's kind of a swinginess of who's going to, you know, get those big rolls. Yeah. So
I think it would work better in something that was more sandboxy and where everybody was kind of upfront about character death, so that if, for instance, Brandabras went down, if what we said was, or when Tomas went down, if what we had said was, hey, if somebody goes down, we're not going to stick around, we're going to get out of there and
then you take shadow,
and just
take
say, okay, we're going to take some shadow, but this is what heroes have to do in this kind of world. That might have helped too.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we didn't really entertain any retreat. You know, this is all or nothing, in we go.
Yeah, and it's a first time, like this is the first full-on combat I've run for this that wasn't just sort of hand-waved to get through the to the end of the session. So it's interesting, and again, it is a really tough foe too. He had 80 endurance, and he had an ability to spend hate to regenerate some 7 endurance, and I used that twice. So really, it was a 94 endurance foe that you were fighting against. You know, so he's it was a big bad guy, and he had that sorcery ability as well, and I was able to spend hate to add his attribute because of great or strength, whatever, fell strength or whatever it was called. It's neat though. I mean, like it was easy, you know, easy to run. I'm interested to see what happens with second edition in terms of the combat, what changes they'll make.
Second edition would make it feel a lot more, because one of the changes we talked about for second edition is that you actually subtract your related attribute from the TN always, instead of having to spend hope on it. So if it's a character who is built for combat, who has a high body score, I think they're going to hit a lot more often than they do in first edition, and are going to feel like a combat badass because their target numbers are really low for combat.
I'll be. I mean, it should be coming out any time now, right? The
PDF they said they wanted the PDF done by the end of October. It is obviously past that point, so any day now.
Nice. All right. Go ahead, Sean.
I mean, from everything we've said, because I'm kind of piecing it all together and comparing our comments to like your initial or maybe your comments, Kevin, about about how it went. And I do, I mean, there is something to be said of and I'm wondering maybe if it's just a situation too where some combats, at some point you're just outmatched. I mean, you'd love for the heroes to always have options, but sometimes that's just not going to be the case. I mean, they're going down, that kind of. And I feel like this may have, with again, it's a one shot, and I think that last comment by Arlen I think triggered my comment now that the bigger picture that you don't really have in a one shot of like, look, so there's 4 of us. Tomas is basically worthless, and this is a giant troll. So either, and this is in complete hindsight, if we do this again, it'd be like, we need to pull off a very clever opening here. We gotta chop this thing at least one good shot before the whole battle just becomes chaos. And if we don't pull that off,
then we leg it.
Yeah, then we get the heck out of Dodge. So that adds a lot. If you've got a plan like that, then you don't get stuck in like, holy crap, this whole thing's going south. And next thing you know, we don't have any options because maybe we shouldn't. Like this is a TPK waiting to happen, folks. Sorry, it's just the way this goes.
Well, and there's a little bit of, I feel like the rules for the other sections, they're not as punishing, but we made some changes to like the way the encounters actually work that made it, I think the whole game has a little bit of people have criticized it for being kind of board gamey, that it's all about the rolls that you make and not as much about the role playing. And I think the rules as written have a little bit of that issue because like the encounter tolerance rating, the big thing is you don't have very many chances to fail as low level characters with your talkie scenes. And if you don't have a lot of good skills for, courtesy and inspire and that sort of stuff, you're just gonna you're gonna walk up and Elrond's gonna say, I don't care about you guys.
It's the problem that the Song of Ice and Fire RPG has too, where it's because it gamifies. It's very similar in design to this, where it gamifies all intrigue and all social interactions as well too. But it much more technical than what this one is, even. And it's the same problem where it's just because you're reducing everything down to quantified numbers, your character sheet can fail you if you don't have enough stuff in there. You are not capable of really meaningfully participating in a lot of those scenes. If the target number for the thing is 17 and you're rolling 2d6, you're never going to succeed.
Right.
So and there's meta currency in that in the same way there is hope in this too, but it's it's tough. What I will say, the traits in this are something I thoroughly enjoyed. The social scenes, I enjoyed I enjoyed a lot of the role-playing stuff in this. I didn't not enjoy the combat. It's just that it feels suboptimal in the end stage of it. The last bit of combat.
Yeah, once you get down to no more resources, you don't really have a lot of options.
No, I don't have anything interesting I can do because I'm out of hate, and you guys have nothing interesting you can do because the likelihood of you're either going to roll an extraordinary, I don't mean like by the rules extraordinary success, I mean like you're going to roll a crazy high number, or you're going to fail because you're dropping so many dice because of weariness.
Yep.
The edge, and this guy's armor was really high as well too, so you just weren't able to get a wounding in. But if he wasn't as armored, you guys hit him with quite a few wounding attacks. It feels like you could accidentally take down a big target. You'd have to give them a shit ton of armor in order for the boss fights to feel like boss fights and not like, hey, we got 2 lucky wounds on this.
Or the special rules that you can't even go down. Some of the monsters have the special thing where you can't go down from a wound until it's out of hate, which is, I think, actually like what basically all the boss monsters should have, is that basically you have to wound them, and B, you have to take down their hate, and that's how you kill them.
So what there needs, here's the thing that I guess, and I don't know if this necessarily translates across other games as well too, so I may be holding this to an unfair metric, but there should be more than one. When you're in a situation, there should be more than one approach, right? Like you shouldn't have to be like, I need to grind down hate first in order to rob this thing of its cool abilities, and then be able to, and then reduce its ability to hurt us, right?
Well, but my point was actually to make that, because that puts combat in line with kind of all the other things.
But the thing is that but again, like that, but that still shouldn't be the only way to approach it. There should be more.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say just and then in the late stage, the fact that you're just waiting for a high roll or waiting for a critical hit or whatever, a called shot, that shouldn't be the. I don't know. That it feels so swingy. Then, like, there's not. What's the decision you're making there? Do I just roll the dice or do I just roll the dice?
Well, Sean, you go first, and then I'll.
Well, I was just going to say, to some extent, the other approach in a situation like this against such a tough foe, I would probably include there again that aspect of the bigger picture. Like, I think the other approach would be sneaking that map off his belt. You know, like not going to combat at all.
Yeah.
The group were like, we can't. I'm not sure we can take this thing. So either number one, we got who around here is sneaky. Get that map and let's get out of here. Or number two, we have some plan for an ambush, and if that doesn't work, again, we got to get out.
Yeah. What were you say, Arlen?
Well, I was going to say I think that's a true criticism of this. I don't know that that's fair in comparison to other games, because I think there are a lot of other games where, like a lot of D20 based combat systems, D20 based combat, unless you have like special at-will powers or stuff, you're doing the exact same thing, right?
No, you know why you're not? Because there's not the death spiral. Because you're not weary and dropping a bunch of dice, so it becomes only extreme results. You're either missing like crazy because you rolled 1, 2s, or 3s on your success dice, or you're rolling big because you rolled a bunch of 5s and 6s. There's not. That's where it becomes really swingy. Instead of being
okay, so it does become more swingy, but it's still you're really like dependent on just the.
But that's different. I mean that's you have to roll dice in combat in every role playing game, right? Apart from like Amber Diceless. So that's not it's not the fact that it's dice, it's the fact that it translates it to being so swingy.
Well, but my point was, I think that the comparison is in some ways to the other parts of this game where you feel like you have so much more, right? That for instance, in encounters and talkie-talkie scenes, by comparison to combat, you have so many more approaches and different things that's what makes combat feel the way it does with the limited.
James, you're going to say?
Yeah, because by coincidence, that's the other thing I was sticking in my modding was I do like the fact of the weariness in a way, because the whole I'm fine, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Of some of the other games, I just think most of it, particularly let's think of a samurai fight, you've always got the guys flailing at the end.
Yeah. And like it's not
but
that.
I think it's just harsh. It's too harsh, maybe here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like in theory, I do like games where there is a mechanical consequence for injury. I don't want that in every one of my games, but in certain games, yes. But the fact that this one, the way that it plays out, it feels so. You're just praying for a really high dice number on that on the D12, and it could be also because we're playing starting characters as well, right?
Yeah,
where we've got
that.
But I mean,
that goes back into like the called shots thing. You can only really reliably do called shots once you have a couple levels of experience in your weapons. Mm-hmm. So,
but this is a starting adventure.
It is a starting adventure, and it's kind of.
I think what the adventure expects you to do is fight this in 2 stages, because there's a whole section on staking out the graveyard to wait for the troll to come back, and I'm like, I don't think there's enough information in this adventure for, like, I get one a little beyond what's written to try and be like, this thing could come back, so it is a possible strategy to do that. But why would any player not just, we've played role-playing games before, this is what the adventure is telling us is the route forward.
Yep.
So it expects you to do that or to try and catch up to the troll, but like it moves so much faster. You can try and catch up to it if it is because it only moves during the night, but it's really fucking hard, and all of you guys sucked at hunting. Mm-hmm. So it was like, well, that's never going to happen. You needed a great or extraordinary success in order to catch this thing. So.
Yep.
And also something you had said before, Arlen, that this the game operates best with 4 players.
Yep.
I wonder if that an extra player and a party that was designed mechanically to hit all the bases, where it really feels like it feels a lot like 4th edition D&D to me.
And that's kind of what I was saying about having the one approach to combat, and you need to take down the hate and do piercing shots. I think the game is designed to have 4 players, 1 in each combat stance. You have the front guy take down the monster's hate, and you have the guy at the back with the bow doing prepared shots all the time, trying to do woundings on the big enemies.
I think, and I do feel like if you did have the the broader option of retreating as part of the party's full.
Yeah.
For me, it makes it. For me, that's a big step. I mean, that makes this all more reasonable because it's a very tough foe that could very well be a TPK, and as long as the players have that broader feeling of like, look, it's up to you, man. If you want to stay here and die on this hill, that's your option, but you don't have to do that. That makes a big difference.
It's a weird thing. With it having the regimented different modes as well, too, it has that kind of implied assumption that each of those is going to be fair, right? And that's something that runs like the retreating thing is something I love about old school play, is that no one assumes, well, this is something we're fighting, so we'll fight it to the end. You know, there always is the like, no, approach this, and if you don't do that approach, then you fucking lose characters. But in this, because it's got that, it's in the same way with 4E, one of the things I found exhausting about running that by the end is that you had to have every fight. You know, it was implied in the rules that when you're getting involved with it, you couldn't have an unfair fight because it was impossible to retreat from it. There weren't retreat rules. And in this, it seems like the same thing too. There may be.
There are retreat rules.
Oh, there are retreat rules. There you go.
So that's why I was saying I think this is designed for a more sandboxy thing where you accept that you're going to lose characters. The first guy goes down and everybody runs away.
Yeah.
If you read, there's a guy who used to post on the G Plus group, and he's got a ongoing Lord of the Rings or One Ring game that's been going for like 200 sessions or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And it's the like list of dead characters is enormous.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's which is, I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Any closing thoughts on our foray into the One Ring?
No, it was good. And you know what? I mean, as usual, really, I feel better. I didn't feel badly before, but I feel even better after our conversation because it gives more context to, I think, the battle and what happened. That I think this would be. I mean, it was fun, and it would be even more fun, like our comments, that if we had more, a broader campaign would give our party more options. Yeah. And a little more knowledge about the game. I mean, my knowledge about the One Ring rules are just not adequate at this point. But the notion of we need to sneak that map off his belt, you know, first of all, let's not take this thing on. You know, we need to, you know, all those other options coming into play, I think would make this all very reasonable, even as the troll is tough.
Yep. This is another one of these games that just benefits hugely from being a campaign, I think.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There's one shot. Don't get me wrong on that, but I think it will shine in
campaign.
Campaign
and
context.
Worth pointing out, these are rules from 2011, and new ones are about to come out. Who knows what Cubicle 7 has done to improve on the concerns.
And it's not, you know what, like every game has, I have yet to ever run a game strictly rules as written. So like, I mean, this would never, that wouldn't be a problem. I take the rules as a suggestion of how to have that experience at the table, not written in stone. My enthusiasm for the game is greatly diminished having run this combat again. I ran into the exact issues I had when I played last time. I had fun in like an enormous amount of fun in every other part of the game when I played except for combat. Combat I found deeply unsatisfying. And I thought like, well, whatever, maybe it's just because I was a player and I've got my own things, and there's more than enough that I really enjoyed about the game that it didn't affect my enjoyment of the overall experience. Plus, Arlen ran a terrific game as well too. It was a really, really fun couple of adventures. Running it now too, it's especially the fact that like once you drain hate, basically the monsters are reduced to just rolling dice. There's all this cool, interesting stuff you can do beforehand, and then you've got nothing interesting you can do afterwards. I would not run this rules as written again. I'll see what happens in second edition, but I'm not a huge fan of the combat system in this. I think if I were to run it again, I would do a fairly substantial overhaul. So, anyone else have any other closing thoughts? I would say that my comments on combat does not outweigh how much fun I had in all other parts of the game. Running it in that from that sense as well was enormously fun. I think the other parts of the game are phenomenal, and the way the traits work, the way that the social encounters work, I absolutely adore that. I love the setting. I love the travel rules as well too. I wish they were a little more. I wish hazards happened a little more consistently and not relying on you having a big enough party for those to trigger.
Yep.
You know,
and that's one of the changes that I know that they made, is that it's not hazards, it's now events, because they can be good. Because that's one of the changes they made for Adventures in Middle Earth, is that it's based on how long your journey is, and you just have a certain number of events based on how far you're going.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, there's some interesting, and worth mentioning also that we could play, if you were desperate to play something like this, there is a 5e version of this, the Adventures in Middle Earth game, that is also really good, and combat plays a lot more like 5e does. So it's, you know.
Yeah, and it's on, and again, like I think overall, I definitely put this in. If I would wanted to play in Middle Earth, I mean, maybe I haven't played Adventures in Middle Earth, and I haven't run Adventures in Middle Earth, so I can't speak to that one. But of all the other games that have been set in Middle Earth that I've played, I adore this one. I think this is great. Yep. Just the combat needs a little, and I mean, I'm not this kind of game. I think combat is an outlier, and like you say, Sean, it is a purpose-driven there should be some story connection to what's going on, and it's not like stealing the map from this guy. That was a little bit of flourish I put in at the end to tell you guys where, you know, that this was in there. It wasn't even a clear thing, clear incentive in the adventure. So, all right, well, guys, that was awesome. I mean, setting aside the what the outcome of the combat, it was fun up until the point we ran out of we got hit weary and ran out of hate. The lead up to it was a lot of fun. I think the staging of everything was a lot of fun. And I greatly appreciate you guys diving back in. Look at those empty red bars on the character sheets. My goodness. So for those, let me just quickly, if you bear with me a moment, I see there's been some questions or comments in chat as well, too. Oh, nice. So John finished his session and he's back. Yeah, Nefarious asked about the thing being modified. Ingolf predicted dead. Oh, that's great. Fred X says, epic fun to observe. Thanks, Fred. I hope you enjoyed the... I hope you enjoyed the session. Terramond also. Bodo, thanks. Great session, great end. He enjoyed seeing you guys die. I think it's because Bodo's also lost a character to one of our campaigns. Ingolf asked, trying to fight directly seemed to be the less optimal approach. Isn't there a support mechanic to help someone hit more often? Is there a way to help to like give a... I couldn't remember how help or aid another works in this, if there is a mechanic for that. Do you remember?
I don't remember anything like that. I think the closest you have are those special combat abilities in the stances, but none of those are really like, you know, here, let me add a success die to your roll or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't remember anything like that.
Well, if you really want to blame the character deaths on anyone, what you can blame it on is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Because today there is the Grey Cup, and today that's why Jeff's not here. So if you guys had one more player, if it wasn't for the fact of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers making it into the Grey Cup final, you would have had that extra character, and you would have taken down the troll. Alas.
Well, right.
Yeah. I know who's dying in 2 weeks then.
Conspiracy.
Yes. All right, cool. Well then, for those listening at home, live, otherwise, thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 2, the final chapter, I guess, of the Old Bones and Skin.
Well, now, you know, we're in the larder. Maybe we make it out of the
larder. Oh my gosh. The mixed stew, I guess it ends, our post-credit sequence is this troll stirring this thing over this like bubbling cauldron.
Oh, so lovely. So lovely.
Yeah.
As always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. In addition, you can reach me on Twitter at Dungeon Musings. You can also reach me on or by email. My email address is dungeonmusings@gmail.com, and we've recently had some people who have emailed who I have not got back to yet. I will be doing that later today, so thank you for writing me. I will get back to you later today. In addition, there is a link in the description of the video to something called Heroes Save Villages. And that is the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. And currently, from now until noon on January 1st, 2020, we are running our latest charity raffle. The grand prize for the raffle is a copy of the Platinum Edition of the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus box set by Beadle and Grimm. And if you're not familiar with their products, do a quick search for Beadle and Grimm Platinum Edition. You'll see these incredible, at retail, $500 US boxes. They're huge, that have all this extra stuff for running the D&D adventure in it. That particular one comes with a bunch of extra stuff in it as well. There's a massive miniature you can only get in the box set. There's a massive map in it and a stuffed flump, all sorts of cool stuff. And the tickets for the raffle are $25 Canadian, which works out to about 18 bucks American. Each ticket gives you one chance to win that, and there are some other prizes as well, including a copy of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Core Rulebook, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Bestiary, and a copy of the Starfinder Character Operations Manual. All donations that are made for the raffle tickets go directly to SOS Children's Villages International to help them provide the benefits they do to over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children around the world. So it's a really, really great charity that benefits from that, and it gives you a chance to win some really awesome gaming stuff. And I will pay for the shipping as well, too. So if you do happen to win this, I will pay to have it shipped wherever you happen to live. Beadle and Grimm was good enough to donate this massive product to us, so there you go. You can find a link to the video on the same Hero Save Villages website. You can find the video for the current raffle on there, and you can buy tickets there as well, or make donations that will be your tickets as well. Or in addition, if you just want to make a donation to benefit them, all money donated goes directly to them. None of it goes to the channel. None of it goes to any other middlemen. So, yeah. In addition, there's also a link in the description to our Discord channel if you want to join us on Discord and give share your thoughts on the One Ring role-playing game. You can feel free to do that. Or chat with us. We have we have channels dedicated to all of the games that we run on the channel, in addition to a Looking for Group channel and a bunch of others as well. Last but not least, I want to thank my doomed fellowship here. So, Sean, Arlen, James, thank you so much for playing again today. I am so sorry for how things ended up for our fellowship. So, I did like that it ended on a roll of Eye of Sauron, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it was definitive, you can't deny that. It was definitive.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so then, until next time, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a different game. We'll be playing something else then, which we have to... we have to decide on between now and then. And, until then, thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 2 of this expedition into Middle-earth. Until we see you again, happy gaming.